In a world crying out for a top 10 show, John Rocha and Matt Knost are here to bring you the top 10. Brought to you by the Schmoes Know. Take it away, boys. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Top 10 Show. I am John Rocha.
I am Matt Knost.
And Matt, we have suffered our first dropped guest in 3 years.
Oh, it's not dropped guest, because dropped implies we asked them not to come.
Oh, no, dropped means they dropped out.
Okay.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
All right.
Look, I don't want to throw any names around.
Oh, I'm happy to. Listen, in 3 years, this has never happened.
This is true.
This has never happened.
And, of course, it's this person that it happens with.
And emailed them a week ago and said, hey, next week is your episode.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
What day you want?
Right.
Doesn't respond for like 3 days.
Right.
Meanwhile, you see this person every day.
I do.
Doesn't respond. Finally, I have to email again and send a text, and I get it back. Wednesday should work.
Right.
All right, awesome. Let's do it Wednesday.
We hammered it out over the weekend over a group text.
No, that was on Monday.
Was it Monday?
That was on Monday.
Oh, wow, that's even more current.
It's 2 fucking days ago. That's how current it is. When we were all simpatico on the same page. Yep.
We were all
all
there.
right, that works.
Let's
awesome.
make it
I will see you
happen.
guys.
Looking forward to it.
And then the son of a bitch leaves, I don't know, anywhere from a half hour to an hour before I got here.
Yes.
Because you were...
I was doing a Black Panther commentary here at the job. Yeah. I was in there for 2.5 hours doing that commentary. And so when I came out, the person who was supposed to be our guest had gone home. Then I texted that person, and that person unfortunately said, I'm sorry. I thought it was next week. It's just a bad day. I got a lot going on. I have to get home to be with the family. So I'm disappointed because I was really looking forward to having him on the show because people have been asking us to bring him on the show for 3 years. And it was finally the time, and unfortunately we couldn't make it work. Well, we could make it work. He couldn't make it work.
That's the thing, though.
You should see Matt Knost's face right now.
That response has too many details for me to believe it's true. If you're really busy, you just hit me up with, dude, I left. I'm sorry. I'm so busy.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. I've been there. But when it's, I'm busy, I got a thing over here, and got to make it home, and this on the side, you're just making up bullshit for the fact that you forgot.
Sure.
You just straight up fucking forgot.
Sure.
I don't know why we're holding back on the
I'm holding back. You can say the name, if you
I
want.
got no problem.
All right.
Are you ready?
Sure.
So Christian Harloff
Oh, no.
is
really
the one
said
that
the
just
name.
left. They just left. On this week of all weeks.
This week we were going to bring top 10 Star Wars movies. We were going to talk about it with Christian Harloff, and unfortunately, Christian Harloff forgot or got caught up with his day and left, and then said that he thought it was for next week, but he knows we release episodes in anticipation of the release
Of the
movie
of
that
the following week.
Yeah. So it's like to have him go home. So if you were anticipating hearing Christian on this show, in fact, I wonder if I'll title the episode without Christian Harloff, without guest Christian Harloff.
No. Because he is dead to me.
Oh, my God.
So that
Wow.
means dead to 50%. I'm saying of this show.
Wow.
We've never had a guest do this.
It's true.
And he just left on the first time we've been able to do this.
Yeah.
Been hold back. Why don't you do this? Because there's only 8.
Right.
Now there's only 9.
Right.
And now
Finally.
there's finally 10.
There's finally enough 10.
We have 10. We can fucking do it for this one finally.
We could.
And
Now we'll have to wait with him to amend the list maybe in next year.
I don't know.
In December of next year.
I don't want to hear what excuse that is going to come from that. I'm actually helping Santa. He's missing a lot of elves this year. Because the next one's at Christmas time, is it not?
Yes.
So he's got to go to the North Pole and hammer out some something or other. All right, dude, this thing's got layers.
I got to work for Ralph Biscuits. I got to make the toys for Ralph Biscuits.
Fucking 7 layers deep, this bullshit bean dip. It's fine, man. You fucked up, and it's fine. Just to own up to the fuck up, as opposed to I thought it was next. No,
but we are professionals, and the show must go on. Mm-hmm. So we are recording this episode in absentia of Christian Harloff. We are going to do our episode top 10 Star Wars movies in honor of Solo, a Star Wars story coming out. I have seen it. Matt, you have not seen it.
I have not.
I'm not going to spoil anything, and Solo is not going to be on our lists because Matt hasn't seen it, and we don't want to spoil anything with you guys because we go in depth about the movies.
I wouldn't be against you putting it on your list.
Really?
Just say, I would have Solo here.
Okay.
Instead of whatever movie, like the one that I have to add on to make it 10.
Right.
If that's not on your original list and you want it solo, and you're like, here's where I would place it.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I will do that. I
you
will
can
amend
put
my
a
list.
spoiler technically in the discussion of the bottom.
Sure.
To be like, hey, I don't talk about it, but I reveal where it is on my list.
Okay, that's fair. And I can give a non-spoiler mini reason for why I put it on that isn't going to give anything away about the movie.
Feels kind of spoilery.
No, just if I give you if I give you my overall thoughts if I liked it or didn't like it, that's not spoilery.
I think it's
as long as I don't tell you why I didn't like it or didn't like it.
Your placement on the list gives us an initial idea. And if the Patreon wants it, we can do a review once I've seen it.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And then throw it up for the $10 and up. You're getting this, we'll do that for you too.
That's fine.
Then you give all the explanation you want to.
Sure. But you've got to see it as well.
Trust me, I'm fucking seeing
our reviews are always the people still clamoring for our reviews. They love our reviews. Top 10 reviews.
You cocked your head back, the chin went up a little bit. It was like a little New Yorker cartoon.
There's little things
right on the front.
I know our lists are always fun to haggle out, and Matt always finds a way to trick me to get his stuff on the list. But
that's very hurtful. That is very hurtful.
But I know our reviews.
Just attacking me.
I'm confident in. I would call it an attack.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to go back to when we did it for all the...
No.
We were releasing... There was that one week where we did all 5... Every day of the week we did one.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Because it was all the Oscar stuff.
Yeah.
We'd seen it over the Christmas break. I'm like, why don't we just come
ourselves.
back and just record a bunch of these 2 at a time, release them all at once.
We destroyed ourselves doing that. But no, the big ones, maybe we should do like the little 15, 20-minute reviews of our own for the big ones and give it to the Patreon.
It's true, but when have we ever talked for 15 or 20 minutes about anything? 30 is kind of our stock minimum.
Fine 30, but only because we go on tangents.
Yeah.
Like we're going on now.
Exactly, but we can do this all day long. I can talk in circles, no problem.
That's what I keep telling you, but you don't listen.
What are you talking about?
We should have our own fucking Sirius XM show.
I
you
just
won't get on board.
defined myself for you, and you just told me that you actually came up with that definition?
Came up with what definition?
The fact that I can talk in circles, and you're like, yeah, I've been telling you.
No, I've been telling you that we can talk about anything for hours. It's not an issue.
I think...
As it goes silent.
I think ultimately there would be an issue. Do you want to see my mug every day?
Not every day. I'm talking about with Sirius XM. Well, we could do it, I suppose, every day, but we would have to have producers who'd come up with content for us that we both sign off on and be excited to talk about. And like Stern does it every day. Opie and Anthony do it every day.
Yeah, but Stern also sounds like he's been dead inside for 10 years.
Oh, fair. Mike and the Mad Dog did it every day until they broke up. Mike and Mike did it every day.
Until they got, bored of each other and hated each other.
Yeah, but by that time, we've made so much money by that point, it doesn't matter.
You're willing to give up all this for the cash, huh? You're willing to give up all this for the cash. You know what? So am I.
I give it up for the nookie, son.
So am I.
If we could end up on New York radio making hundreds of thousands of dollars, then yes. I have no problem with that.
If you're there, that means you're syndicated nationally and you're making millions.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's no radio like that left, I don't believe.
We got to create it. What's old is new again. That's what I hear. That's what the kids say.
Let's go back to the wax cylinders. They used to have that. You have to actually hand crank it to listen to it. And it's got the big flower petal horn coming out, and just cranking the little cylinder. There's a needle on the inside. It's us. Just take it back.
Look, if Cobra Kai can break all kinds of streaming records, that's nostalgia.
Did it really?
Yeah, dude. It destroyed Handmaid's Tale, 13 Reasons Why, and some other Netflix show. It destroyed them. It was such a high. And you haven't seen it yet.
I've seen the first 2.
Matt, it's so fucking good. Order YouTube Red for the month because you can cancel. You get 30 days free, and you can cancel it before the end of the month. Order it, watch it. You'll tear through the episodes.
The problem is I wasn't hooked after 2.
Really?
What? The parts of it that I liked, I loved.
That's what I'm saying.
But the parts that I didn't like just pulled me out of the reality of like, ugh.
Well, it keeps going into that stuff, and the relationships change and evolve as the show goes on. It doesn't stay.
Well, you can already see where it's projecting, so I can make a guess. And basically, it's just the polar opposite of where the first movie ended. It was ultimately where 10 ends. It's like somehow the audience is now siding so much with the opposite side, the unintended side.
No, actually, no, that's not what happened. But I don't want to ruin it.
Okay.
I'm saying there's twists and turns. And just when you think one thing's going to happen, something else happens, and you're like, damn it, what could have been? And so there's a lot here that's fun to play with. I mean, you know. And there's a whole episode where they like talk about Elizabeth Shue, which I think is great. The characters from the first movie, it's great. So, anyway,
I don't even remember her name. What was her character's name?
Allie.
Allie, that's right.
Yeah. They even talk about like there's. Well, I don't want to ruin too much, I guess, but
yeah,
if you've seen Karate Kid, there's like the stuff that happens in Karate Kid. They have discussions about LaRussa and Lawrence when they get into this altercation, which is hilarious. So, anyway. What do you want to talk about, Matt? Do you want to talk about anything? Or do you want to just jump into it?
I say we jump into it.
Okay.
If you haven't seen any of these movies,
yes,
which I can't imagine that's the case.
For God's sakes,
I'm just worried about the
10-year-olds
Jedi that came out.
The 10-year-olds who are listening.
Yeah, but there's going to be spoilers all over Star Wars. If you've never seen Star Wars, I don't know how you found us. That's the God's honest truth. It's not like we're for. But if you haven't seen Star Wars, you haven't seen all of them, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe tune off.
Yeah.
And then go watch them because we're about to ruin Star Wars.
Yeah.
Talking about it over and over and over because we haven't actually talked Last Jedi since.
Oh yeah.
It came out technically between the two of us.
That's true. We haven't. So I guess this is going to be our first time to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so there it is.
All right.
Spoiler alert on Star Wars.
Right. If you haven't seen all the Star Wars films except for Solo Star Wars story,
I wouldn't normally do this for any other list, but it's Star Wars.
Right.
So please go watch that. I don't know what you're hesitating on, unless you're so young. It's just like I haven't gotten around to it.
Right. Oh, and stay tuned for the end of the episode. We've got a gift that someone sent us through Amazon that we're going to open up. Do you know who it was?
Yeah, I can tell. Well, I can tell you what their handle is on Twitter because that's all I've got.
Oh, okay.
Is J Golden Eyes.
J Golden Eyes.
Golden Eyes.
Nice.
J. Just all one, J Golden Eyes.
That sounds like a 70s song. J Golden Eyes.
And yet, ironically, he was wearing shades in his avatar, so he can't even see those beautiful golden eyes.
Wow. He probably has to cover them up because he'll set things on fire.
Because I think we would all call him a demon because who has gold eyes? Every time you see that in a movie, that's never a good thing. Dude, his eyes are, you can see him in the dark.
That's kind of scary.
Oh. All right, hey, what's up, Pennywise? How you doing over there?
It's like a fucking tiger.
Yeah.
Fucking tiger, man.
Fuck that.
Anyway, you want to tell them how the show works, Matt?
Yes, once we set a topic, John and I go our separate ways and create individual top 10. Let's show back up here. I do my bottom 3, he does his bottom 3, I do my next 2, he does his next 2. Then we trade one apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 list, we create the shows between the two of us.
Boom. Look at that.
Easy peasy.
All right, you want to start us off?
At number 10, I'm assuming we have the same number 10, but maybe not.
I would hope so.
The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
It is the worst.
The worst.
The worst of the worst.
Not even that stupid pod racing scene redeems it for me.
I mean, aesthetically, it's really interesting in that what they pulled off with CGI.
Sure.
Some of it is absolutely incredible technically, but I was so detached from caring that it didn't even matter. It still doesn't.
Yeah.
And I've seen it more times than I care to admit to, just to try and find some sort of fucking love for that movie.
Sometimes it's like that, right? There's a film that like you have to go back and watch it over and over again because you're like, I can't believe it's this bad.
What am I missing?
What am I not seeing that they thought was a good idea?
I mean, this guy shepherded our childhood, my childhood especially.
Right.
Just watching these movies and loving it over and over. And the fact that there was going to be a new one, I saw it in the theater, then I took my mom to see it, and then I saw it like a third time.
Right.
And I was, I walked out of the first one, I was like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And then I took my mom to it, and she walked out, and she's like, that was terrible. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah, you talk yourself into it.
Yeah, but I couldn't, after a while, lie to myself anymore. Just like, I fucking hate it, man.
I have a friend to this day who will not admit that he defended Jar Jar the first couple of times we saw the film. He said, I would have never done that. I would have never done that. I go, I have 3 or 4 people who were at the screenings with you in Tallahassee who will say you absolutely defended Jar Jar Binks, saying that we were wrong to think Lucas had put this racist voice on Jar Jar Binks.
So racist.
It was so goddamn obvious.
So racist.
Right, and he kept saying, no, you don't. And then, like, now, of course, he bashes Jar Jar, but, like, and when we bring it up, he's like, you guys make that up. I never defended Jar Jar. I was like, no, you really fucking did, though. You really fucking did. Because you took everyone to see that movie over and over and over again at the time. And I remember I remember lining up with people to buy the tickets that were dressed in Jedi robes and all this kind of shit. And that was my first real exposure to fandom. Because when I was going into the Florida State in 1999, brother, I'd been in the military for 8 years. So they don't do that shit in the military, right? We wear the camo.
I bet you they do that now. I bet you there are guys, because it's so pervasive within culture.
I guess you're right, maybe, yeah.
That there would be maybe two or three or something in a platoon.
Right.
That would all love that. So because you have to subdivide within that, I assume.
Yeah.
A population of guys that big, okay, eventually you have 3, maybe 4 friends.
Yeah.
And you're a clique amongst all those people.
Yeah.
But, I don't. The Trade Federation people, that was like in a boxing match when a guy gets they get the shot underneath the ribs and they weren't quite expecting it. It's like a little bit of air comes out, but you tighten up. You're like, it was. And then you see Jar Jar after that, because you couldn't lie to yourself. On the Trade Federation, you're like, maybe that's not.
Maybe it's not Asian accent.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I was trying to lie to myself that, and then Jar Jar, because that's the only thing Jar Jar I could not defend.
Well, you can't
after the first viewing. That was the only thing I couldn't defend.
Yeah, it's not those two. It's not just those two guys. Also, Watto.
Oh yeah,
Watto, who is in charge of whatever in charge.
Someone
of
had to point that out to me after I'd already seen it a couple times, because I was so focused on those two. And you're like, dude, that one's a Jewish one, and you're like, fucking. As soon as they say it, you're like, yep. Don't even. You're like, I don't know how I missed that kind of.
It's that uncomfortable look away.
It is.
And then you question yourself and go, why did I catch it the first time? Am I racist? Did I not catch it because I just accepted it blindly? But you're just like, no, you just are so overwhelmed by it happening that you're just like, what is happening? You go into shock.
But at least for Watto, he stayed true to the character, of himself.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm saying,
Watto.
Whereas Jar Jar was ridiculous for laughs.
Oh, yeah.
That was there to get laughs.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, my God. So we're going back to, Amos and Andy?
Yeah.
We're going back to now I got to entertain these white people kind of bullshit. You're like, that's where it's like, oh, my God.
And it's even crazier there was a black guy who did it.
Yeah.
And a black guy who is now consistently working, Ahmed, I forget what his last name is, but he consistently works in voiceover.
Good for him.
Yeah. But, this is something that's a really, really touchy subject.
How could it not be?
Yeah.
How could it not be?
Yeah. I thought when I was doing that voiceover show with Yuri Lowenthal, we tried to get him on the show. And we were going to ask him, and he was just like, no. He refused to talk about it. And so
don't ask him about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, okay. But yeah, it's mind-blowing. And look, the Darth Maul stuff is great.
It's awesome.
But there's not enough of it to save it to boost it up past 10 for me either.
That's the thing, too. And they just kill off.
And then they kill him off.
Darth Maul, who was so much more menacing than Grievous ever got to be.
Oh, yeah. Coughing Grievous.
Yeah, unless you want to go, because I flirted with putting the Tartakovsky, the little small vignettes you can move.
Right.
Turn those into a movie.
Right.
If you watch them all back. And that's interesting as all hell.
Yeah.
Mace Windu's great in it. General Grievous is great in it. Yep. Yoda's great in it. There's numerous over and over and over again. Early introduction to what it's going to be later, especially with, the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But Maul is just to die for.
Yeah. And I love Qui-Gon. I love the battles he has with the Council. But, it's also undercut by so many other scenes that are just destroy you watching, because you're like, fuck, this is so boring. This is so infinitely boring. And I know there are people who defend the prequels, and I get that, but for me, that movie, number one, is just unwatchable. And I've tried to go back. They've been showing them on TNT and TBS in HD, so I've gone back to try to watch some of it, and it's like, I'm so fucking bored.
The extra definition does not help.
It makes it almost worse.
On some level. Yeah. You just now get to more clearly understand the mistake that you wasted so much time on.
Right.
The people are like, millions. Listen, I saw it as a kid and I love it for those reasons. I understand, but being an adult, if you were in our shoes when we saw it, you would have the same feelings.
Yes.
You would. It's just it's a difference, a divide of whatever that generational gap. It's 2 generations back. You were young enough and you loved it. It was your introduction to the series.
Exactly.
And I can't fault you for that, but for an adult seeing that, a practical adult, 18 to whatever, 22-year-old, it was upsetting.
And the film has such bad energy because the kid who plays Anakin is now in prison or in a wayward home or something like that.
I can't project backwards.
No, but you never know. Sometimes the bad energy of something you just carry it with you.
I blame Lucas.
He talks about all the terrible the abuse he got growing up as an actor and as a young kid, from people who hated the movie.
I believe it.
Yeah. Not Justin whatever the kid's name is.
I think now, if they did it now, that kid would still face Like if it was the same thing, you made Phantom Menace today, but with
Right.
the internet age. But I think it'd actually be a little bit better.
Yes.
Because more people would have been nuanced or understand the nuanced discussion of these are people.
Jake Long, that's his name.
They're not just a
Jake
character
Lloyd.
on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So your words have repercussions. People will attack and all that, but there will be more defending, I think, ultimately.
Right.
And just like, give him a pass. It's not his fault.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a kid.
And with good management, they'd put him in something else quickly, like some other film to redeem him, blah, 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 quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Attack of the Clones.
That is my number 9.
I figured those two and number 1, maybe number 2.
Yeah.
Just depends on how you want to split that. Anyway,
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones. Start us off.
What can I tell you? Look, the battle scene at the end is interesting. In essentially the gladiator battle scene that they have in that.
It's an interesting
in
setting.
that pit is great. Yeah,
It's well rendered.
I love that you have Padme in the Leia outfit. In essence,
Yeah.
the white that she's wearing and the way that all comes about is interesting. But it's super fucking creepy that he's like Anakin is like that much older now, and he's got. Like, oh, that's another thing about Phantom Menace is terrible. These weird type of flirty things they try to have between Natalie Portman, who is
to establish
10 years his senior at least of that actor, of that kid actor.
Well, within
at
the
least.
characters, I would say more than 10 years in real life.
Exactly. So in real life, right? More than 10 years in real life, but like a little bit of a difference in the there's supposed to be a little bit of a difference in the film, but it's
a huge
so
difference.
obvious in real life how much of it. And then you have Anakin now in this film. He's like so much more older, and you're just like, whoa, this is a little weird. And then you have the uneasy partnership with him and Ewan as Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't want to train this fucking kid. And it's so obvious through those last 2 movies that he does not want to train this kid. He didn't like that Qui-Gon had him and brought him on in Phantom Menace. And he really hates that Qui-Gon dies and put him in charge of this fucking kid because he knows this kid is not right.
Really? You read that
Oh, yeah.
into it?
Oh, I hate
that
I
he's
think he hates
resentful?
doing it. Yeah, because the way he trains the kid, there's no real heart. There's no real, like... connection, like when Kenobi, like when he's training Luke in New Hope, it's different.
See, but I don't fault. Well, this is weird because now I'm thinking in the context of like I don't fault Kenobi. I don't fault him. I fault Lucas for basically telling us that what we don't get to see is that bond.
Sure,
That's always alluded to, like
Right.
when in Sith, I think it is, and they're getting off a transport in the beginning of the film,
yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, don't bring up Kandahar, whatever it was.
Right,
like that
right.
doesn't count." I
Right.
can't remember what the back and forth was. He's talking about the fact that Anakin saved him earlier on.
Yeah.
But it's just like all the camaraderie they're supposed to have had outside of that opening of Sith, like it's been off screen.
Right.
So all we see is basically him is Anakin bucking and Obi-Wan having to be like, no, you can't do that.
Well, that's why I enjoy the Clone Wars so much because they fill those holes in.
Yeah.
And the TV series, and they fill those holes in really well with Anakin and with Obi-Wan and their connection. But that is not there in the movies. It really isn't for me. And Revenge of the Goes like, okay, so the two I mean, that whole thing about going to see the clones and like it's exhausting. That whole scene, the fight outside in the rain on that transport with Jango Fett
awesome.
and Obi-Wan is great.
Yeah,
right. So that scene and the final battle scene are interesting, but everything else in between, I'm just like, okay, let's just get to what we're trying to get to. But it's asking you to like sit back, and I don't want to sit back in a Star Wars movie. I want to be on the edge of my seat, enjoying the shit out of it.
Yeah, I think that one. I think it would have been maybe possibly been more successful if I could get that sentence out. Maybe we only see Anakin as good in that one, and then we see the pivot in the third one.
Yeah,
as opposed to having to have him do this, kind of high wire act, like because when Hayden is in, I think they're on Tatooine, and he's about to cry.
Yeah,
and it's right before he goes off to murder the Sand People.
Yeah, the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah. That it's just like it took a weird pivotal, like the tone shifted so dramatically and out of nowhere, and it felt hollow.
Yeah, it's very unorganic.
It is.
Yeah.
So it just kind of kills the momentum that it was building, because I would rather see like, okay, what's he... We haven't seen actual Anakin as a good person. We've only seen the kid, and the kid is a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You saw him fly, a ship beautifully.
Well, that's the... Yeah, exactly.
In the first one, it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Build on that. Show me more.
Right.
How has he progressed? How is the show me,
Right. And then when the switch happens, it becomes more believable, more organic.
It does.
Like what happened with his mom, I get why he put it in there and it makes sense story-wise, but the way they built it up in the movie, it doesn't organically work. And I think most people who don't like the movies feel that way instinctively, that it doesn't organically work, his change, his twist.
I think in agreement with that point is had they kept him good, his mom dies, and he held back because a Jedi doesn't kill like that. And the next one, he's like, no, that happened to me in the past when I didn't take action and I knew I was in the right.
Right.
And it cost me this. And that actually pivots him where he miscalculates.
Yeah.
Look at that. We just made Lucas's film way better.
Yeah, and here's the truth of it, too, Matt. Lucas only directed the first of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So, other people came in to bring his shit to life.
And the first one...
Him directing all three of the prequels lets you know what could have happened to the original trilogy. Yeah. We might not have had these very revered and loved films as we do now. It's very possible.
You could go as far to say that they say his wife saved it in the editing room, and that's why she won the Oscar.
There you go.
Because he screened it for Spielberg and somebody else, and they were like, I don't understand this, this, and this, and she fixed it all in the editing. And I've seen side by side of like, okay, here's where it was originally going, and here's where it's cut to, and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why did they decide to go? Like, why did he think it was good to go here first? It doesn't even... It's like, and then she did this, and you're like, that smooths out that problem. It's just over and over and over throughout the entire film.
That's the unwritten, well, that's the hidden truth that nobody likes to really overwhelmingly talk about, is he's not that good of a director. He's kind of a crap director, in my opinion. Like, my people would be upset about me saying that.
American Graffiti.
Oh, good point. All right, I give you American. Oh, and THX 1138, some people like.
Which I haven't seen.
Fine. American Graffiti is a good movie.
And I would say, look, he was fully hands-on, and it's a huge endeavor to go out to Tunisia, I believe it is.
Yeah, Tunisia.
And all that. Like, I just, let's go back to Attack of the Clones, because now we're talking about future movies we're going to talk about anyway.
Right. Fair point.
Well, anyway, that's enough Attack of the Clones. All right. I think this will be our first deviation, obviously. Okay. 8 for me is The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that is a punt for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a punt for me. So my number 8 is, because we're at that position, because obviously 10, 9 are the same. My number 8 is the other prequel film, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, that's a punt.
It is. Okay. All right. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is the animated The Clone Wars, the movie.
That's not on my list.
Okay.
Because I put, but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, look, it was theatrically released.
It was. It counts.
I even love that the Darth Maul Returns, like, it's the same length.
Yeah.
But I think it might have been straight to DVD, or maybe they just did it on Cartoon Network or something initially and sold it as DVD.
Right.
So it didn't get a release. But if that counted, that probably would have made my list over Phantom Menace. But yeah, I mean, it's basically everything that you didn't really get a chance to see, which is Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then Anakin gets a Padawan of his own. Mm-hmm. Once he's a master. Yep. That was part of Attack of the Clones is, you may be on this council, but we don't grant you the rank or whatever what it's by happenstance. You didn't earn this kind of thing.
Right.
So he gets his own Padawan, and it kind of humanizes him because she pulls him back at times within the movie. It's interesting because they made her super headstrong. Yeah. And never questioning, and she ends up being right quite a bit for somebody who's brand new on the job and gets thrown into a huge battle on day one, and she butts heads with him. But it humanizes him more.
Yep.
And then Obi-Wan is kind of left to this. He's a Swiss Army knife, so whatever bad situation is happening, okay, well, once Obi-Wan gets there, he'll sort everything out. Yeah. He's kind of their Hulk. Yeah. He shows up, and he can rectify any problems. Once he gets there, he's going to have a little badass battle, which he does with a character named Ventress.
Yeah, Asajj Ventress,
yeah. Which is a great, fantastic character they set up right there.
Hell yes. And I hope she shows up at some point down the road.
It'd be awesome.
Some live-action Star Wars film.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, because that character is so badass.
Yeah.
And she continues on, and she's got a great character arc that is in the Darth Maul one that I brought up too.
Yep.
But it just makes sense. Like, oh yeah, they would have their own apprentices and bringing up. There's always the Darth Mauls, the somebody else.
Yeah.
This guy's got an apprentice, and that guy's got an apprentice.
It's the rule of 2. Yeah.
Yeah, at all times.
Yeah. The apprentice for Obi-Wan, for Anakin, Snips, becomes Ahsoka Tano, who is now like one of the most revered animated characters in the Star Wars universe that people are clamoring to have a live-action version of.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because she's a strong, interesting character.
Yeah.
And I don't remember her backstory entirely at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's come on big time in Star Wars Rebels. She was in the season finale, or series finale. She was a big part of the series finale. Okay. And a lot of people think she's the first gray Jedi, which is that half and half.
Okay.
And so a little not as hardcore as the Jedi in terms of the principles, but still a good Jedi, a good person.
Yeah.
But a little more of having to do what needs to be done to save a situation, even if it means killing or doing something drastic, and making her a gray Jedi. You know, I love that, and I hope they explore that more as the Star Wars stuff expands and goes forward in all kinds of medium, because she's so great in that Clone Wars thing.
Well, yeah, I think it all, depends on the next few solo films.
Yeah.
Like not Han Solo, but which he is a solo. And I'm saying like all the spin-offs they're doing. Yeah. Eventually, then you either bring her in or you could slip her off on the side. Yeah. They get to like their Guardians level where they can put out whatever they want to at this point because they bought enough goodwill. They keep churning out good shit.
Yeah,
we'll watch it over and over again. Right. And the fact that Solo hasn't come up on your list, I'm already stoked about that. Like, it's good. I'm happy to hear that. Right. I have not seen it yet. I'm not one of the chosen few that gets in early on those things.
Yep.
So anyway, that's Clone Wars. It's just a setup to characters you already know, but it fleshes it out, and it gives the clone troopers personalities beyond what you see.
Yeah, Rex and them. Yeah,
the actual and like how they have different guys in the units. You get to see like this would be the equivalent of like Gung Ho in G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
A guy with just a huge gun that comes in and he can mow down. Or like in Predator, the guy that's got that Jesse Ventura with the gauntlet gun.
Yeah.
You can take out huge swaths, but hand-to-hand, you suck.
Yeah.
But within the context of this group, it makes sense to have a guy that can come in and drop a hammer every once and again.
Yep.
They fleshed out the world in really believable and interesting ways, and plus they took the stupidity of the droid characters and did what they could with it.
Yeah.
Which I always hated. I don't understand why that was a choice.
Yeah.
For any of the fucking sequels, it does not make sense if you were creating a robot army, especially the infantry. The pawns that just get sent out to get slaughtered. Mm-hmm. Why are they stupid?
Clones, yeah. Why are they what?
Stupid.
Yeah.
If you're going to give battle AI,
this is why it doesn't make my list, because there's so much about the film that, when you compare it to the TV series, falls short, achingly short. And that's one of the reasons. Those characters are just, who thought this was a good idea, and how in any way, shape, or form is this an adult thing? Like, you can have cute things in an adult film or adult show, but like something like those droids are annoying as hell.
It's useless.
Yeah,
it doesn't make
things. They talk like this. It's just dumb.
Like they do their best with it in the cartoon.
Yeah,
within this movie, and the TV show. 100%.
Yeah.
They do way better because they use it sparingly, and at certain times, like what is the Wilhelm scream or whatever it is when somebody dies off camera. Mm-hmm. They have a version of that within the show. Like, and it goes off and it died. Like it went off. It's like, okay, if you're going to try and get comedy, like there's a good one. They don't do the double talk shit.
Right.
That just killed me from like, why would you make, whereas the destroyers, and I think the Trade Federation called them droidicas or something like that, that roll out and have an instant force field and just like, that's badass.
Yep.
Or the other droids that just come out and just fire from the hand. They lift their hand up.
Yep.
Those guys are just, okay, it makes sense that maybe they're not the smartest, and you're just rolling them out to like, they fire and they go out and they take bullets while the tanks are behind them. 100%.
Yeah.
But to make the ones in front of that stupid.
Yeah.
Does it?
It just makes no sense.
Makes no sense. All right, so anyway, my number 6 then, because that was my 7, is a punt from yours earlier.
Okay.
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
It's my favorite of the prequels.
Okay. Yes, that's me too.
Knew it walking out of it. It was like, all right, well, at least that achieved something.
Yeah.
That I was looking for. Because Mustafar, as a setting.
Yeah.
As like a stage for this play that's about to happen, is second to none.
Yeah.
It is fucking so gorgeous. It is ridiculous. You show up, and I love the symbolism of this destruction for a different kind of life thereafter. And it's just this molten, and everything is lava, and it's the bowels of hell is what it is. It's an entirely volcanic fucking planet.
Yeah.
And the fact that they allude to this later on in Rogue One, not allude to it, but they go to it, and that's where he built his home base.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
But Mustafar alone, the fight there, the drama of that sequence, it's this huge set piece. Yeah. It is, second to none as far as a gorgeous fight scene.
Yeah. I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree thoroughly, dude. Like that is what sells the movie to me. And even the other stuff, like Trade Federation stuff, the stuff in the Senate, all that stuff is, and the Mace Windu stuff.
Yeah.
With the battle with Anakin and the Emperor there. All of that stuff has more menace to it and more meaning to it than anything you've seen in the previous 2 prequel movies.
Yeah.
So much so that when that battle finally happens on Mustafar, like, you get it, because he's like turned his back on Padme. He's turned his back on Kenobi, and he is just lost in this obsession to try to defend what he loves in a way that he thinks is best, but he has got this like unbridled anger that he cannot come to terms with, as young men sometimes do who come from terrible upbringings, which he essentially did because his mom was a slave. He got yanked into this whole life of being a Jedi. That wasn't really his choice because he was such a young kid. He was essentially sold off to Qui-Gon, and instead of being there to defend his mom got raped, you would imagine, and beaten by these Tusken Raiders, and then he loses it, kills them. But the hole is never filled because he has so much anger and rage about his entire life. And I think that comes out in that fight. And it's Hayden Christensen's best acting is in that whole sequence with him and
not even close.
Right, him and Ewan McGregor. It's just great.
But what suffers is the stuff with Padme Amidala.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And I got to assume it's just because they're always in an all green room.
Yeah, dude.
So it just brings out hollow performances over and over again. I think by the third one, Ewan McGregor had finally gotten okay with it.
Yeah.
Because that is a fantastic actor, him and Liam Neeson, and they're stilted at times in the first one, just because they're acting in all green rooms.
Yeah.
It's like when you hear that Ian McKellen broke down on, was it The Hobbit? Because he was basically in all green rooms. Like, this isn't why I signed up to act.
Right.
This is not acting. And I believe he like came close to like breaking down in tears kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't what I want to do with my life. And so it really falters in creating like an environment where a love story would flourish or blossom, so to speak. So but I don't fault the movie for that because it's now my third time seeing it. It's just like it rings hollow every time, or I'm 10-eared to it, I guess. But the set pieces, like the fight on the Senate floor with Yoda and the Emperor, is fantastic.
Great stuff.
And you got Yoda at one point throwing his lightsaber into the clone trooper. That was so badass.
It was.
So badass. Just throws it, spikes him right in the chest, and he starts to crumble, and then Yoda just jumps on him, grabs it, and uses his legs to pull it out. I was just like, oh, wow. That is beyond belief. On some level, that little moment made it worth it, having sat in lines to watch all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, now we're doing something that... Because they revealed, like, in Phantom Menace, all of a sudden, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon could run so fast.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, hold on, that's a Jedi ability? And they never use it again, for the most part. Just like, what? So...
The superhero thing.
Just going to bring that up, whereas this, with the lightsaber, is just like, how have we not seen somebody do that?
Right.
And other things you see in the video games where they had one character could throw it and then just use the Force.
Yeah.
Just make his lightsaber just go out and mow down. And you're like, well, that's exactly what you do with it.
Logically.
Yeah. Or is this run fast thing? I don't know. The Force can do that. It turns you into the Flash, and now it's like moving your particles or something.
I don't know. It's the only time I've ever seen it. So, yeah. But, and it's funny you bring that up about McKellen. Like, Portman went into a deep depression after these prequels because she thought that it exposed her as an actress, that she was like, these films are going to show that I'm a terrible actress. She's talked about it, how much of depression she went into afterwards, thinking she was never going to work again in Hollywood, that people were going to like just make fun of her forever, and this was going to be her legacy, and this was going to destroy her career. And this is someone who had been like, who blew up from a teenager, in the professional, really established herself as an incredible actress that people kept watching in numerous things, and having something like this come along, which should be a godsend, to have it turn into this horrible nightmare. It must have been so, I don't know, like depressing, I guess, for lack of a better term, for her to confront that and have to go through that. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about working on, acting to a tennis ball on a fucking pole, how much of that can you bring? And so that's what makes Revenge of the Sith stand out a little bit, Revenge of the Sith, rather, because there are better performances, and I love when you were supposed to be the chosen one, and
that's believable.
His scream is so believable. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, so...
And I love that the I have the high ground turned into a meme for a while there.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful, you can easily do that in single frame. We all know exactly what's going on, and now you can repurpose it and do all kinds of different stuff with
Absolutely.
it. So that was my 6. What do you got?
So my number 7 is what we just kind of referenced a little bit, Solo, a Star Wars story, the one that's just come out.
Okay.
I will put it at number 7 for right now. I enjoyed it better than any of the prequel movies. I don't want to get into too deep a spoiler, so I won't.
We're doing a review in 2 weeks for the Patreon.
Yeah, right. We'll do the review for the Patreon. But all I'll say is that there are some shortcomings to the film, but overall, I enjoyed my experience in the theater. I had a really nice time seeing this type of Star Wars movie because I've never seen this kind of Star Wars movie, and I enjoyed the performances for the most part overall, and I enjoyed the story overall, and I never found myself like upset by what they were doing with the film.
There you go.
So that's as non-spoilery of a review I can give you without getting into the deep specifics of it. Just that I had a really great time in the theater. I don't think quality-wise it should be in my top 5, but right now it's 7 for now, and I'm definitely going to go back and see it 2 or 3 more times. That's for sure. That's all I can say about it. So
that's all you need to know.
All right. So then my number 6 is the punt from earlier, The Last Jedi. And the only reason I put Last Jedi at 6 is because...
Sell me on this, because I put it at 8, and I was like, shit, that's only because those other 2...
are so bad. Well, I understand that.
My bottom 3 were cemented. I was like, boom, 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 done.
Yeah. Well, we just might have a difference of opinion on this because like the first hour or so has bothered me every single time I've seen it. And the Canto Bite scene. But I've done this thing now where when I go see it in the theater, I go and take a piss when the Canto Bite scene is happening.
Who's that, Monte Carlo?
Yeah, the Monte Carlo scene. Because that way I don't have to watch it. It's a prequel reference.
It's brutal.
It's terrible. But once Holdo shows up, once all that starts to happen, to me it's one of the greatest Star Wars films I've ever seen. From that point on through to the end, I really enjoy it. But the mama jokes at the beginning, I don't like. The Rose stuff, I'm in and out on through the whole movie. They almost throw away the Finn story.
They do
honestly.
throw away
They
Finn.
make it like
they destroy Finn.
Yeah,
I no longer care about Finn.
Right.
But suddenly he just is in love with this new character.
Well,
out of
I think
nowhere?
she's in love with him. I don't think he's in love with her. I don't think he's in love with her. I think she's.
I think he has mixed feelings about what his feelings are by the end of the movie, and you're
Mixed
like,
feelings,
are you kidding me?
Right.
Are you kidding? You just met her.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, like 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Well, that's the thing.
Not even actually. It's less than a day.
The first hour, they almost destroy the movie with Poe Dameron stuff. Like you're like, what? Why are you turning into a cock? Like a cock, essentially. Not a cocky kid, a cock.
And why are we turning General Hux into a punching bag?
Yeah, that's the thing that really bothered me at the
beginning. It totally demeans him now. Just like, why would then Snoke have any faith in this guy if everybody can do this to him?
Right.
If he's this big of a gullible dipshit.
Yeah, exactly.
How did he become the most fearful, I don't have midichlorians in my blood motherfucker in the galaxy?
He killed 6 planets in the last film.
Yeah.
6!
And now he's like a zany character.
Yeah. That's what bothered me right from the beginning, the tone that it set. I was like, But then, for whatever, in my opinion, it writes itself and has these very incredible situations happen throughout the movie. Holdo ramming that ship into that Star Destroyer is one of the most incredible visuals I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, no, it was gorgeous.
All of that was the way it all went down, the way they tried to escape, the way they went to Crate and had the battle on Crate. The battle on Crate, I really enjoyed.
No, I like that
all
part.
That,
and the Force projection does not bother me.
Yeah, the Luke stuff didn't bother me.
At all. The people that were upset with that, I was like, why? That seems something easily to do. If they can die and transmogrify into a ghost, you're willing to believe that, but he can't project the likeness of himself somewhere else?
You can accept a Force ghost, but you have a problem with projecting your Force.
A Force ghost that exists at all places at all times? Yeah. So you can just call out if you know it exists.
Right, because Yoda shows up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Which I love, by the way.
Which means Yoda, so did I. I have zero problem with that because we've already seen that type of character, once they reach a certain level with the Force, can do that. Yeah. And you have to assume it can for the bad as well, which I was always like, why don't we see the bad version of that? Maybe somebody comes back for Snoke, and it helps flesh out his backstory or something. I don't know.
Well, but I also like the scenes between Kylo and Ridley, and Rey, rather. Kylo and Rey, when they're having their,
their projection in the conversation is awesome.
Great stuff.
The shirt off is ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's,
those were amazing.
Yeah.
Drew you in with the emotional. My problem,
and the throne room fight was great. There's a lot about the film that's enjoyable. The throne room
fight I thought was okay. The killing of Snoke I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
He's slightly distracted because he's so focused on his main objective and he thinks that he has slapped a newspaper on his dog's nose, so the dog isn't going to do shit.
Right.
And he just, that subtle little turn, boom, awesome. And I don't care they didn't give a backstory, even though I said you could have used that. It didn't bother me they didn't.
Yeah.
Star Wars does that shit all the time. Look at Darth Maul. Who is he? He's dead.
Yeah, right. He's dead. So badass, he's dead.
He's so badass, he's gone. But oh well.
And guess what? We're going to bring him back.
Star Wars does that all the time. Hey, here's a character that's
Clone
awesome.
Wars.
What's her name from Game of Thrones? Phasma.
Oh, yeah, right.
Here's an instant character. Boom, gone.
Yeah, Phasma.
That's fine. You
I don't
guys
think
do that.
she's gone, though. I think she's coming back at 9.
Maybe.
Because of that. Because they showed how the armor could, like, survive blasts, so I think it can survive the fire. Now, her face will be fucked up because there's that hole in her eye.
So it can't
the
protect
fire
from
will
that
affect
fire?
her eye. Her face, rather. But I think her body will be what
it makes sense to the eye, and then she has some sort of cybernetic little implant, and or that's below. She's like half Vader, half the person.
Could be. I mean, if Luke can get a fucking mechanical arm, then I think she can have a fucking bionic eye. So,
but like, all right. So here's what killed me in the theater, and I saw it 3 times in the theater.
Yeah, respect.
And I've seen it twice since. Trying to like, all right. Okay. What about this? What about
this?
this?
Do you own it, or you mean digital?
I own it.
Oh, yeah, right, fair.
So. One simple question. Are we to believe that once the slow pursuit begins,
yes,
are we to believe that this is the entirety of the First Order's fleet? And I have a second question after that.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
I think that's okay.
Because at one point they announced, we have 18 hours of fuel left, because that's when the Monte Carlo horse shit happens. So for 18 hours, they're following. So either this is the entirety of the First Order fleet, and then they cannot just do a simple, okay, we're going to take 4 of our ships, warp them over here, and warp them back so we somewhat corner, and if they can't go to warp, we box them in. We don't have to wait 18 hours. We can do this in 5 minutes.
Well, they can't warp.
The First Order can.
The rebellion can.
Cannot.
Right, because they're being tracked
yes.
by the First Order. But we're just thrown in there. Those are the things that bother me in the first hour.
You're telling me you can't take a couple First Order cruisers, warp them 1 parsec away or whatever the case is, and then warp them back, so now they're blocking in the rebellion from the other side. And from, like, obviously space is infinite sides, but they have to turn, so to speak. So if you know their trajectory, land on these potential fucking, escape points and cut them off.
Well, listen, you're the science guy on the Top 10 show. So if you think that's possible, then respect. I don't know if that's possible.
Well,
that kind of travel.
Light speed is, in the context of Star Wars, it is. So in the context of Star Wars, I'm not saying why wouldn't you tactically do this?
But how do you know where to land or stop warping? How do you know where to go to warp that you'll be ahead of that? And can you warp what is basically not at that long of a distance? Can something warp that quickly into that area, into that position? I don't know.
Well, maybe. Why not? If I'm First Order, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Send everything that we can that way, and then they're still not coming back against the big cruiser.
Right.
So send everybody over there, and then send them back.
So maybe warp like to the outer atmosphere of the planet of whatever's around there.
Not even, man. Warp as far as you need to, and then warp back. Because how long does that take? If you warp a minute away and then warp a minute back?
Okay, this is a good idea. It would not be cinematically good in any way, shape, or form.
But in the context of we're setting up, these are.
I'm not denying
the First Order controls the universe.
Yeah, true.
So this has to be like, this is FedEx meets the Pentagon meets, like, they have logistics down to a degree that is beyond belief.
That's okay.
If you can control a universe.
Right.
Or a galaxy, or whatever. A galaxy even bigger. You know what I mean? If they're in control of this galaxy, how the fuck do you not have other ships anyway? So we're going to follow them for 18 hours. This is our plan? And Snoke
until they run out of gas.
It's so dumb. So dumb. And he's like, we're just going to keep firing at them and just to let them know we're here. Why?
And then they start picking them off one by one. It's like, why didn't that come at you earlier in the situation?
But it took 18 hours for all the ships to slowly die off. Now, when she turns, it goes to light speed.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's incredible.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it just goes to silent.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, man. Yeah. I mean, even though I was sitting there watching, going like, every time they go back to it, it's like, I don't care about anybody on here. I don't know why you don't tell Poe Dameron unless you've alluded to the fact that is there a spy on board?
Right.
Otherwise, why keep him in the dark?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
It's a fair point.
Because then he wouldn't get off into all this bullshit, and then you should be pissed at him. But at the end of the movie, and you're like, this fucking guy.
I like this guy.
This guy, Leia knows who.
He's a
headstrong
guy. I like this guy.
It's like, what?
He's a flyboy.
What? It doesn't.
He reminds me of my dead husband.
But then there are other points like, the final battle sequence is gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is,
and
man.
the firing a million lasers at him.
And the brush.
And the dust
I
off.
love the brush.
Oh, so do I.
Some people hate it. I fucking love it.
You know what? Those people are wrong, is what those people are.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't either. Because
there's enough for me to put it at 6. There's enough for me to enjoy.
The petulance of Kylo, of he can't see it from Luke's side, and he won't even sit down to talk to him so Luke can explain, here's what I was going through. I realize I was wrong.
Yeah.
I realize I'm in the wrong. There's a reason I've secluded myself all these years. But him just like, no, I want to smash him. I want to. It rang so true. Adam Driver's amazing.
Where I had issues with him in Force Awakens, I love him to pieces in Last Jedi.
See, he was, I think, in the discussion from my favorite part of Force Awakens.
Right. Well, there you go.
Just because he was so good.
Yeah. He was too emo for me in Force Awakens.
And also,
we'll get to that, but yeah.
Yeah. Ren needs no tutelage on how to do some of the most impressive things we've ever seen the Force do.
You mean Rey?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Daisy really, yeah.
Yeah. Rey and Ren.
That's why some people are okay with this. I'm not okay with her not having a connection to Kenobi or to Skywalker.
Sure.
I'm not okay with it. I know other people are fine with it and they love it. That, your parents don't have to be special for you to be special.
You're nothing, just like Anakin was nothing.
I get that. That's fine. But I don't necessarily want her to not have a connection to Kenobi. I want her to have a connection to Kenobi in some way. I want her to be Kenobi's granddaughter. I want her to be in some way connected to Luke in some way, because that would explain her ability to use the Force in such a way that's instinctively more powerful than anybody without tutelage.
Ever seen.
Right.
So
even Luke's training her only a modicum of time. He doesn't have a lot of time.
Not even. He fucks with her for half of that time.
Right, exactly.
Which we'll get to whenever we get to it on the list.
That's right.
Just within this like that drew me out. It's just like as soon as at the end, she's lifting all the rocks in the passage, and I was like, man, no, you got to earn that. I'm not against her having that ability, but you got to fucking earn that.
Right. Because we were so conditioned by Luke and by Anakin at their abilities to use the Force, their slow progression. And also, I would argue, numerous superhero movies where it takes them a while to figure out how to use their powers effectively. They have powers, but it takes them a while to understand how to control them, to use them well, to focus them, what have you. And with Rey, it just seems to come so damn easily, everything she has, that there is no real struggle. And that's a frustrating thing. So I understand that.
She's as good a pilot as...
Oh, yeah. As Han.
As Anakin, as Obi-Wan.
Right. Chewie should rightfully take over the Millennium.
She has no flaws.
Yeah.
On some level.
No, she doesn't. She's a perfect character. It's true.
As soon as she gets herself into this situation, she can magic her way right out of it. And you're like, wow, man, she's got to earn some of this shit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
It doesn't make me despise the character, though. I still believe because she's so good in it.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't make me despise her and be like, nah, because I could see others who's just like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just snap your fingers and you get out of every situation. Whereas I still believe that the character and the actor are trying to convey the fact that this isn't all so easy breezy. Yeah. I just think this story at times just makes a twist and just like through no fault of their own.
Right.
Just like it's written, now you're lifting 7 tons of rocks.
Yeah.
We've never seen a Jedi. We've seen Yoda lift, the X-Wing.
Right.
And there's the insinuation that Luke does the same thing. That was beautiful. That's why the Force projection works even better.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, there's his ship. All right.
Yeah, no, a lot of people hated that. I didn't mind it because I'm like, if you study that idea of people who meditate or people who do the Buddhist stuff, like to them that is, the ultimate goal that you want to reach is this ability to be so one with everything that there is no poetic ending or anything like that. There's just what you sacrifice yourself for, and then you become one with the universe. Mm-hmm. And that's what Luke did. Luke did one last final projection, uses of his Force, which he said throughout the movie, I don't want to train. I don't want to do this. He wasn't like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, who's like, oh, you're too young, or you're too old, or whatever, and you're too impulsive, and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually Luke convinces him and he trains him.
Yeah.
That was a test. This is something. Luke legitimately doesn't want to train anybody else because of what happened with Kylo and how his students died, which I think is a fault of the movie. They don't explain that more, what happened there, which hopefully we'll find out in 9.
Yeah.
But like that is the thing that you have to either accept or not accept, and I accept it. I don't mind it. And the death, it does suck that you don't get a scene with Leia and him when they're actually physically in each other's presence, but you still have the gold dice, you still have that connection, you still have that kind of conversation between them, and then he goes out and does what he needs to do. He goes out on his terms, as Luke would. Luke would go out on his terms. He was that kind of headstrong character. So, I know we want poetic ending, but he went out on his terms.
Yeah, he gave of himself one final time.
Yeah. Yeah. To everything against his wishes, yeah.
I mean, you could see, I understand like why Han was like, that was a long time ago when we meet him in Force Awakens.
Right.
You can't do that forever.
Yeah.
Eventually you have to go, you know what? Even if we're on the side of right, we're still, this never ends.
Yeah.
We're just going to constantly be doing this by somebody else that wants to take over power.
Right.
That shit's got to suck.
All right. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is The Force Awakens.
That's my number 4. All right.
That's your number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I imagine. Anyway.
Yeah, I think our top 5 is going to be around the same. Just moving stuff
roughly.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, The Force Awakens, so going into it, I know I told you, all they had to do was be better than the prequels.
Certainly was.
The hurdle that is a speed bump of the prequels. Although I do like Revenge of the Sith, but all you had to do is better than that, and it was.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic. The fact that, okay, this seems to be in more, I don't want to say capable hands, but maybe capable of telling a more palatable Star Wars story.
Yeah.
I don't fault Lucas. Like, he created an amazing world.
Right.
Like, this is beautiful. Even if you did, like, you did what every great artist did or does. You stole this influence here, and you stole the influence here and here and here and here, and you cobbled it together, and you made a new story. And someone is going to steal from you,
right?
And steal from somebody else and whatever else, and make that into a new story. And it's going to go on and on and on.
Right.
We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So to see it finally, like, kind of the torch is passed to how are these new people going to be able to shepherd a product that the entire globe at this point, is infatuated with.
Yeah.
Unlike any other movie product or pop culture, it transcends all borders and languages, as far as I know, but it seems to be everything you've ever seen is they love it here, they love it here, they love it here. I've never heard of a country being like, fuck that noise.
Right.
Never happened. So Force Awakens comes back and I was like, I'm so happy. It's all new great characters. They're interesting. I didn't mind the fact that it is really a lot like the original 3, especially 1 and 3, New Hope and Jedi. It stole from those liberally. I'm perfectly fine with that. Because Lucas stole from himself on 1 and 3. Why not steal again and just do a story that we're all comfortable with?
Right.
Just here's the old Death Star hologram. Here's the new Star Killer.
Right.
And it's just like, this is how much bigger it is, kind of. I love that they didn't even try and hide it. Just like, we're doing the same story. Fuck it. It's just like, it's 7 times bigger. It's just ridiculous stakes. It's an entire planet now.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't care. I was on board.
Right.
You made a whole new generation of characters that I'm fascinated with and drawn into. And now I believe that it could easily keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not I don't love where it lands or whatever else, fine. Story continues on. It branches this way.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I think 9. I think with JJ coming back for 9 is a good thing. I think he'll finish it off the way he wanted to. I think he should have directed all 3 of them, and it was a crime for him to walk away. So whatever happened to make him walk away, I'm glad he's coming back to 9 because it was his vision from the beginning. Force Awakens is his movie, distinctly his movie. Yes, it is very much influenced by the original trilogy, but that's what they wanted to do. If Kathleen Kennedy taken it over, taken away from George Lucas, if they were going to go and do another Star Wars movie, they wanted it to introduce new characters, bring back the old ones, but also keep it in the vein of the original trilogy, which is what everyone loves, for the most part, right? It's not. There are prequel defenders, absolutely, I respect that, but for the most part, the majority of people love the original trilogy.
There are very few people that say the prequels as a whole are better than the original 3 as a whole.
Exactly.
It's a small subset.
Right. So you want to get them back in that vibe again, and you want to... People who are like, and I said this when I was hosting Far, Far Away for a long time, people who have PTSD about the prequels, wanted to come back to a Star Wars film that made them feel like the original trilogy did, and that's what Force Awakens does. Yeah, comfort food, exactly. And you can criticize all you want to do artistic things, that's fine. Do artistic things. That's what Last Jedi was, and look what happened. It's divisive.
Yeah.
But you do something that makes you feel good, and it's comfort food, which is what Star Wars is supposed to be, then Force Awakens does that. Rey is great. Daisy Ridley, incredible. This is a person who'd only done 6 episodes, singular episodes of TV shows before she was handed the lead in her 20s.
She's captivating.
She's incredible. There's not an unbelievable moment throughout the whole movie that she's in. Second.
She acts well in them. I think there are moments at which, like, so my problem with Jedi, Last Jedi, when she lifts those rocks, we see the earlier version of this where she does Jedi mind trick.
With Kylo.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with Daniel Craig
on the Stormtrooper.
Right.
But she's never even seen somebody do that. Yeah. So how does she just intuitively know to do Jedi mind trick?
I don't know. I don't know the Force that well.
I mean, at least, yeah. Neither do I. That's why I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's a fair point, Matt. I think there are a number of spots in Force Awakens where people were watching going, you know what, I'm really enjoying the movie. I'm going to let that go.
Exactly. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Had she at least seen somebody do it once, and maybe she just gave it a try, and you saw, like, the first time it kind of worked, kind of didn't, she's feeling it out or something. Like, I have zero problem with her being, maybe she's just really good at that. Yeah. She's one with the Force, but one of her best skills is something like this, and it's just an early version of it.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that and pilot, and she's too good at those two things, and a good fighter, but she sucks at, I don't know what else there is. That's kind of all you see Jedi do. Maybe she sucks in negotiations.
Yeah,
I don't know. She just caves too easily.
Well, but I know people people bitched about the fact that she was able to wield the lightsaber so well at the end of the movie, but I also say that Kylo was still learning how to be what he's being.
Oh, he's also shot, and he's pounding his wound as a thing of, like, self-flagellation because he thinks he should be whooping their ass, and he just killed his father. Yeah. So he's feeling like shit about that. He's, like, conflicted about what's going on there.
And that scene still works for me, by the way. It's
built up with time.
The kill of Solo is great.
Yeah.
It's so great. And it works so perfectly. And Harrison putting his stroking Kylo's face before he dies as kind of a moment of forgiveness. Like, you're doing what you need to do. I respect it. And then dies. Like, I think that's awesome. Because the unwritten backstory that we haven't heard too much is that they kind of neglected him a little bit, or they weren't that great of parents to him a little bit, and so
they sent him off.
They kind of sent him off with Luke
and boarding school in essence,
and all that. And so there's a bit of resentment on Kylo's side, and he's a young men sometimes have fights with their parents and resent their parents. It's only until they get older and understand how the world really fucking works.
Yeah,
and
your hormones die down.
The hormones die down. They get beaten by life. They understand the experiences of working for a shit boss in a shit company and having to come and do things that they like, and then coming home with that anger. Those people then they eventually understand their parents and go, I get it. I get why it was tough for you to raise me. Blah blah blah. So you see that with that whole sequence, and I think it was gutsy of them to do it. And overall, I just enjoy the vibe of the film, the flow of the film, the look of the film, and the characters. Absolutely. Finn is good in the film. Kylo's okay. The emo stuff gets to me, but I like it overall. And Leia and Han have their moments as well, which are really great. And Chewbacca, for fuck's sake. So a lot of it is so enjoyable to me. It's a film I've seen over and over again.
Yeah, we didn't bring up Mary Poppins in Last Jedi.
What do you mean Mary Poppins?
What do you think I mean by Mary Poppins?
I don't know. Yondu is in...
Nope.
Who are you talking about?
The Leia can suddenly use the Force to Mary Poppins her way through space. That in the movie theater, too. I was like, what the fuck?
Here's what I'll say.
They've insinuated that she is strong with the Force. She is one of this family. We've never seen her use any of it, really. And she can now float like Mary Poppins.
But Matt, I will not lie. I didn't like it either. I've accepted it by now, but like, the first couple of times I saw it in theater, I was like, I just don't like this. And it's not because she shouldn't be able to use the Force. It's not because she's not Force sensitive. It's because there's nothing that we've seen in all the movies. And I shouldn't have to read the books. I shouldn't have to read the comic books to understand Leia has had an ability to use the Force for quite some time. This idea that she must also be able to use the Force is ridiculous to me. She is a general. She marshals troops.
Yeah.
She is a female leader of a rebellion. There's no one else above her.
No.
It is Leia. So Leia doesn't need to use the Force in order to be just as good as everybody else. It's irrelevant. It's like this whole idea of Pepper Potts. Pepper Potts has to be a superhero because just running a multi-billion-dollar corporation isn't heroic enough. Bullshit. And I feel this way about Leia. Leia doesn't need the Force. Leia works without the Force. And her using it in that moment, I thought, was a cop-out and a half to the situation. Because if she had died that way, I don't think I would have had an issue with it, to be honest with you.
No, because there's the precedent of Han Solo getting, and then Kylo has to do it again. So is he fully destroying his past?
Right. And it wasn't even Kylo. It was his two...
No, he pulled off.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot. It was his wingman.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Force Awakens.
Yeah. It's why it's my number 4. I just enjoy it so much more. And it's comfort food for me. Honestly, there are days that I will put it on while I'm cleaning the house. And I will listen to it, hear it while I'm cleaning the house because it just makes me smile. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
So that was your number 5.
Yeah, that was your 4. So what's your 5?
Return of the Jedi.
All right, that's my number 4.
Okay. Here we go. Battle.
Awesome. So we have the same top 3, and I think over the long haul, my top 3 will probably flip around a tiny bit.
Yeah? Okay. We'll see. So Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi.
I wish I loved it more.
Well, the thing is, those that say it should be lower on the list, you're not wrong. This is where like the kids that grew up on the prequels.
Yeah.
I saw this in the theater.
Yeah.
I was so excited for this to come out. I already had all the toys. I've been playing Star Wars at that point my entire life.
Yeah.
Because I was so young. And I saw it, I think, twice in the theater.
Right.
Because I remember I got my grandma offered to take us when we were in town visiting her and my grandpa, and she took us. It could be the only movie she's ever taken me to in my entire life.
Right.
And but I'd already seen it at that point. But I was like, hell yeah, let's go see that again. It was months later or something. And the Ewoks do as an adult. I just don't. I don't revisit this movie as much because I don't want it to.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't want it to hurt the place in my heart because I have watched it as an adult, and there are points of it that I love.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely love. All the Luke with Vader and the discussion between the two of them and the Emperor kind of stoking the fire.
So good.
Yeah, and how that eventually ends up and the actual battle on the moon itself just with Han and like his charm and the back and forth with Leia.
Yeah.
And I love him when he gets to the top of the hill and he turns around on him. He's kind of like, hey, I'm a rascal. You didn't know that about me.
Yeah.
It was a great, that's a Han type of moment.
Yep.
Acting kind of, we all believe you deserve the cocky, but that's cocky when you knew you had a royal flush and you knew it. And
right.
You turned it on him. You're like, hey, you acted big before and acted small before, but you were, playing possum.
Right.
Kind of bullshit.
We get more with Lando.
Yeah.
And Yen-Nub.
And Jabba and the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, my God.
All the build up there.
Great stuff at the beginning.
They do just ingloriously kill off Boba Fett.
Yeah, possibly. There's rumors that he's going to come out of that Sarlacc pit somehow.
Fuck that.
I'm just telling you, there are rumors.
Boba's dead.
Okay.
Because you killed him off in such a pathetic way.
Yeah.
I think he needs to die.
You have to own it.
Yeah, exactly. It just, you squandered him and Maul. I think you squandered those two. And Grievous.
Yeah.
Dooku I got more than enough of.
Yeah, Dooku.
Dooku was, I got it. And it's nothing against Christopher Lloyd.
Plummer.
No,
yeah.
Plummer.
Well,
Christopher
Lloyd.
Much different casting.
No.
It's not Plummer. It's the guy that was a former spy. Christopher Lee.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah, nothing against him. It's just he's not as interesting as a guy that looks like the devil and then a guy that is just a four-armed robot.
I'm just thinking of Christopher
Plummer? Christopher Lloyd? Much different casting. It is.
Luke.
Exactly. Use the Force. What?
But no, yeah, I guess. Yeah, but for me, dude, it's the Ewok shit. It really does kill it. I know
I turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. Like a movie. Sam Witwer defended it one time when he was on Far, Far Away, and I respected his defense, but it didn't change my opinion.
I mean, what kills me about the Ewoks is I don't mind the Leia and Wicket, like the first time they meet.
Sure, that's cute.
It's cute.
Yeah.
And the idea that 3PO is like this golden god. It's almost like when the conquistadors showed up and the Aztecs were like, oh my God.
Right.
This is a god. We believe you're an actual god because they're all in metallic armor and they're riding horses and it looks like something they believe to have already been a god.
Right.
It's like, sure, I could buy that. A society that's been living secluded and they see fucking golden and like all of that. But the fact that the stormtroopers are getting taken out by like sticks.
Yeah.
Like literally, like
that's the thing.
You ever see the meme online where the kid is riding a bike and he gets pissed off because he jabbed a a stick or something in his own front wheel, and when he flips off and he blames something that had nothing to do with it. It's like it harkens back to when Obama's in office, and they'll be like, fucking Obama, because people just blamed him for everything.
Yeah, right.
It's something akin to that. Where, like, but it's so like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of, how are you getting stooged?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what bothers me. Cause,
it
like,
is.
These stormtroopers are supposed to be like the people that everyone's afraid of the stormtroopers. They like walk around ruling planets, and all of a sudden these fucking like little glorified teddy bears can beat them.
Yeah.
F that. Because it was supposed to be Wookiees.
Yeah, aspects of it, yes.
Sure.
Like the logs they have all tied up, and they hit that, and that goes down, and it goes underneath the AT-AT, the mini AT-AT, whatever it's called.
Right.
And it starts to jumble around. Sure.
Yeah.
But the hang glider that drops a rock?
Yeah.
How big is that rock going to be? It's carried by a teddy bear. Like, what is that going to do? That should just go bink, and they're like, I think we hit a bird.
Yeah.
It should not be able to. But, like, the tree logs that come down and hammer the top of the AT-AT together, I believe that. Like, but there are other points where just like, you guys are literally throwing rocks at stormtroopers.
That's what I'm saying.
And stormtroopers are on the ground going, oh, hey.
No. How are they taking over planets and not understanding the indigenous nature of those
I don't know.
That's the thing that bothers me, man.
I don't know.
Bullshit. If it was what it was supposed to be originally, which is Kashyyyk and the fucking
And
Wookiees,
the Wookiees,
that would have been badass.
Yeah.
I guarantee you this would have vaulted in a number 2 or number 1 spot even.
Easily.
Yeah, because
Easily.
the stuff on the barge is great. Luke coming in, that's the other thing that's great about Jedi is Luke coming into his power as a Jedi. And that's what people remember. And that's why people get mad about The Last Jedi when it's Luke, because they're like, that's the Luke I remember. I last saw that Luke, and that was the Luke that was powerful, and he was in all black, and he was confident, and he was a master, and he had his things, and he saved Leia, and he saved Solo, and he got everybody out of there, and he saved his father. He redeemed his father.
Yeah.
So many people are upset, but all I can tell you is you can have your glory days in your 30s. By the time you're 60s, a lot of shit can happen to you in those 30 years that change you.
Yeah.
And you may end up as this person who doesn't want to fight anymore, who's exhausted, who's tired, and who only has one last projection to finish it all off before you die.
Well, I mean,
so,
from his perspective, like, I've done enough.
Yeah.
I've
he
done
really
enough.
has.
Yeah.
And he's been through enough for
the
fuck's
universe
sake.
has asked a lot of him.
It really has.
And
his father was a fucking Vader. His mom died in childbirth. He's raised by
but
Owen and Beryl.
Well,
Beru.
the further indignity of his sister gets sent to a royal family.
Right.
And he goes out to a desert planet.
He's a moisture farmer.
Like, why the... I mean, I get it, the fairer sex, like you wanted to put...
Sure.
But
come
why
on,
do I have to go to sub-Saharan, kind of environment where it's just... We got a moisture farm underground because 15, 20 feet up... It is so arid that nothing grows, nothing.
Right.
Yeah, that would have. It easily could have destroyed him and turned him into a dark character, just like his father.
Yeah.
Growing up from the humble beginnings and feeling like you were cast out, you don't know who your family is.
Right.
Just all of that over and over, but yet he chooses the path of good. Yeah, after all that time, you're tired.
I mean, that's one of the greatest sequences in any of the Star Wars movies is him redeeming his dad. I mean, it's such a powerful moment. And I remember distinctly seeing it the first time. And I remember feeling like I wanted to scream at the screen for Vader to kill the Emperor. Because he was just taking so much punishment, Luke, and screaming, Father, and he refused to fight his father. Only after his father referenced Leia did he fight him, but then he put the lightsaber away. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it because it was a temptation to fight you.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying I'm not going to fight you. So if you want to kill me, destroy me, do whatever.
Exactly.
And
I will not turn into you.
Right. And he sees the Emperor he sees Vader wavering. And the Emperor sees Vader wavering. It pisses him off. And that's when he decides to fucking try to kill him.
Yeah, he needs to take him out at that point.
Right. And then Vader does what he does, which isn't great. And then they have that moment when they take the mask off, and he has that moment with that actor, the actor who plays Vader, and it's a fucking great moment for him to say, like,
take my mask off. I want to see you with my own eyes.
With my own eyes.
Even as a kid, it's like the idea that he hasn't really seen him. Like I was young,
right?
I think what year is this? 1986.
Yeah, I think 86 or 84, something like that.
So I was 7.
Yeah.
In the theater seeing this, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's never seen him with his own eyes. Can he breathe air? Like, I just started going through all these other questions.
Right.
Like, oh, can he do this? I don't know. And then you see him, like, what does Vader look like? Yeah. I've only seen the top of, like, the back of his head kind of thing from Empire when the helmet comes down.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know what he looks like. So it's just so captivating. Yeah, but the Ewoks.
They really do kill it for me, man. I wish I could ignore it more than I do. But
I agree, but that's where my childhood still wins out the nostalgia of it.
Understood. All right, what's your number 3?
3 is Rogue One.
That is my 3. So I think that's how we go.
Yeah, that could potentially make it to number 2.
I agree, dude. I think in time it will replace what is it, number 2?
Probably our number 2.
Well. Yeah. But for now, we can talk about it at number 3.
It's just this gives me more hope than anything.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like the standalones. Let's do it.
Yeah,
because now you're dealing with characters that you don't feel such a need to uphold.
Yes,
the legacy of
to the mythology. Of
and the further of where the franchise is going to go as far as the story, the further scope of that doesn't affect that. This is just a small sub story that you already kind of the outcome of. So how did we get there?
Right.
It's a great idea. How did they get the plans for the Death Star?
Yeah.
Let's just make a simple movie about that. And we also know, but going into it, they all die.
Yep.
Because we are told that these plans came to us at great expense. Do they say in that scene everybody that gave us are all dead? Or maybe they allude to the person that brought this is dead?
I think they allude to the person that brought it, yeah.
Okay. But so that this was a suicide mission to get it out.
Well, before the movie started, when the whole build-up to the movie, they were still on the fence whether they were going to kill everybody. Up until I think about when they started shooting the movie. Just before they started shooting the movie, they kind of locked the script. And Gilroy talks about this. He's given interviews that he came in and was like, no, this is a war movie. This is a suicide mission.
This is a battle within a war.
Right. You guys are hedging your bets all over the place, and that's why you can't lock the script down, because you don't want to make the decision. Well, if you're hiring me to brush up the script, I'm making the decision. They're all going to fucking die. And
they
from
have
there,
to.
And they have to, right. Which is why the first trailer you see, it's a more hardcore Jyn Erso, a darker film.
Yeah, some of those shots didn't even make it in the film.
No. And Gilroy comes in and changes it all. And they make it a little nicer, but in the long run, the ending still is the same.
But you have to because of the ending. Yeah, exactly. The ending is going to be hard enough.
You have to care about them if they're going to fucking die.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they're all going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
There is nary a soul spared, and the way that they die is, it's unfortunate that it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you see it and you're like, wow, what a captivating thing to see from an outsider's perspective, that you're up there. Wielding this ridiculous weapon. Can you imagine if you had the power with one push of a button to destroy an entire planet?
Yeah.
And the beauty that would render because of the sheer simplicity of the destruction. Oh, it'd be gorgeously, revoltingly mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And, well, it's just the characters, too. Like, you see it from the jump. What's his name? I can't remember the technical second lead.
Yeah, Cassian?
Kills the guy that gives him the information
Gabriel
from the
Luna.
jump. Yeah, it tells you, this dude is cutthroat.
Yep.
He's on the side that we want to side with, but he also is not cutting corners.
He's a spy.
Yeah.
He's got to do what he's got to do.
To try and help foster a win for the, rebellion.
That's what I loved about the movie, brother, is it's not a typical Star Wars film.
No, it's atypical.
Very atypical. There are some difficult choices that are made in a way that is necessary for the greater good, like an actual war against a guerrilla war against this occupying force would be.
Yeah.
The guy is stumbling around. He's like, oh, you're going to save me? You're going to save me? You're going to save me? Yeah, you kill that guy off, because that guy will turn states in a second. He will turn whatever you told him about the rebellion in a minute. You get the information, you kill that guy, because if you don't, you might kill the entire rebellion. And so you make a decision in that
This guy
moment.
isn't willing to die for the ideals of wanting to fight this fight.
And I need that information in order to save so many other lives.
Your collateral damage in the overall war.
Exactly.
That's a small battle within the entire battle, which is the war.
Yeah.
Like you were saying before, this is one battle, but you have to think of the context of sometimes you have to lose to win.
Yeah.
You have to, everybody lost. And the Empire doesn't realize it at the time because they think they managed to blow it up before the schematics got off or whatever the case is.
Right.
But, God, it's just a beautiful film. Plus, K2SO is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great choice.
As a comedic character, Alan Tudyk just brings to life this fully CGI should be something you wouldn't have any kind of emotional feelings towards. And him dying was almost the worst, if not the worst.
Yeah, dude.
When he gets the gun from Urso and it's like, hey, kind of, they have a moment, and you're like, you know what, that movement is so earned. All the way back to the bags thing.
Exactly.
Here, hold this, and he just drops. As soon as they get out of the frame, drops it. Oh man, what a great character!
Yeah, Jyn Erso is. I really enjoy her as well, and the scene she has with her father, watching her father in the hologram, and then her father on the platform where they're at when Krennic shows up to kill all the scientists and kill him and all that. To have them have that like final moment between them is great, and Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic as well.
He's so good.
He's so good, and the Vader stuff is off the chain, man.
Well, I love it because when Mendelsohn shows up, he is putting on a play within himself to have somewhat bravado against Darth Vader. Yeah. And the moment Darth calls him on it, you see that all evaporate so quickly, and it's all in his performance. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
He plays such a shithead.
Yeah.
Such a shithead. It is really impressive to watch.
He makes such a great living out of doing those kinds of characters. And he's done incredible hues and shades of that same kind of character in numerous
Ready Player
projects. Right. Ready Player One, Slow West.
Animal Kingdom, he just plays a bad son of a bitch.
So he can go that far.
Yeah.
But sometimes he plays these criminals that are like are stupid or ineffective, or in these moments where
try and play like be duplicitous.
Yeah,
at moments they're nicer. At other moments, like I'm a good guy.
Yeah,
I'm a good guy, and then eventually just turns on a dime.
Yeah, like Netflix's Bloodline, does that as well in that. So all around, and some people complain about the Forrest Whitaker stuff. I don't have a problem with it. I like the character he's doing. I enjoy the voice and all of that's going on, and I love the fact that we get a Latino lead, man. I know people don't. People.
It's the only part I didn't care for.
For me,
the only part I was like, "What are we doing, guys?" This has been a primarily white franchise for pushing 3 decades. Why are we? This is a formula that works. If it ain't broke,
why are we fucking with it?
Why? If he wants to be like third banana, no problem. Guys, what are we doing here?
Fair point.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's
great. A vast universe.
Yeah. We're going to make it to the universe. I hate to break it to everybody, but we're going to make it to the fucking future, my people. But I love the exchange they have after he's almost killed her father, and they're on the transport ship, and he says to her, some of us have been fighting this thing for years.
Exactly. You just got here.
Judge me. Yeah, right, because you just got here.
You think this is the most pivotal thing possible, and you're right, technically.
Yeah.
But I've faced hundreds of these moments where both sides think it's pivotal.
Right.
And I've had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Just showing up now, it's easy to have morals. It's easy to be on the high ground because you haven't been wallowing in the shit like I have since the age of, he was like a young kid when he got pulled into this life.
Yeah.
And you see that too from the upper, like his boss that tells him if you get the chance, take Urso out.
Yeah.
But his boss has been dealing with it even longer.
Yeah, Mon Mothma is great to have her come in and do the sequence and have that actress come back from the prequels to play Mon Mothma. So great to have that happen and slide that in. And she's very it's almost an exact interpretation of what the original Mon Mothma did in the original trilogies.
What is I absolutely loved the part when the Admiral Akbar-esque character goes, call in the Hammerhead. And it actually is just exactly what you think it's going to be, and it is even better.
Yeah.
As soon as they did it, in the theater, I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
It happens, and it's just like, it is such an on-the-nose character, and guess what? Sometimes that's, a toaster toasts.
Yeah, a toaster toasts.
Sometimes,
that's great. I want that on the poster.
So it's like an old Mitch Hedberg joke, like crisper crisps, like blah blah blah. You just come in, and just add ER to whatever it does. That's the gist of the joke. It's a much better joke. Go back and listen to it.
Sure.
But it's sometimes humanity or people, and I assume it of all cultures, you're lazy. Yeah. So sometimes the thing that only does one thing, we call it that thing.
Yeah.
Because that's all it does.
There's no need to be inventive when it's just a brute force.
And Hammerhead is pretty inventive.
Yeah.
Just call it a hammer. It just comes in and boom, barrels into it and drives it into
the force field. Yeah,
gorgeous.
Just
gorgeous.
Great. And that guy has a great moment when he's like, because he wants to fight.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we're going. And then they just go. And then he has that moment where he says, may the force be with you, when he knows
because he knows the sacrifice they made, and he wants to impart to them, I understand that, and trust me, I am going to do the same with this. This information means my life as well.
Yeah.
This is bigger. It's bigger than all of us. Yeah.
And when
it's gorgeous.
When the deaths start piling up, dude, you start to feel like. To me, it's the force. I am one with the force of me. Chirrut Imwe. When Chirrut Imwe dies, that to me, I cry every motherfucking time I see that movie.
Do you think they're gay?
So good. No, I don't think they're gay. I think they're just really good friends. I think they're best friends, and they're both temple guards, and they probably spent years guarding that Jedi temple.
Yeah.
So they became best friends.
I have zero problem if they are.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Someone brought it up afterwards because I hadn't thought about it. I was like, I guess maybe.
I didn't get that vibe at all. I think they're just best friends.
Yeah.
And so when he dies and goes and the other guy Malbus runs out and starts shooting everybody, and then eventually he dies. It's very poetic. I love that. Mm-hmm. And then when Jyn Erso and Cassian are hugging each other in essentially that deep impact moment,
it is a much better version though.
Yeah, exactly. They die. You feel it. You feel all of it, and then you have the Vader killing everybody moment, and then boom, which is fucking badass, and then Leia. But that's the greatest Vader, right? That's the greatest Vader.
And just in the dark. And literally, it's like a horror movie at that point. You need to get out of this hallway, guys. You need to. That's all I was thinking in my head. And the best part is I knew they were all getting mowed down as the file slowly transfers around. Like, you got to open this door. And like, you do need to open the door. And then you need to shut that door immediately. Oh, dude, it's just gorgeous.
I think that's a perfect example.
You're like, oh man, I was watching that in theater. That's when I loved it because it took me out of this really emotional moment and took me back to the reality of the war is still going.
Yep.
It's not like everybody went, wow, this was amazing, this whole battle, because the movie is ending. No, the war continues.
Yes.
Now you got away, and you don't do the cheesy Vader of like, no, when he goes away, just like, boom, they get away. You see him at the door or whatever else it is, and he's just right there and just like, fuck, man, this is Jaws. He's just going to be circling in the water. He's coming back around for you.
Yes, he will.
You haven't taken care of this problem yet. Oh, man. Could you imagine living in a world where Darth Vader exists and he's coming for you? Fuck that noise.
Fuck that.
Fuck that
There's
noise.
Dude,
so long as he knows where he is or you are, he can force choke you.
Oh, sure.
Even like just on a conference call. Because we've seen him do that. Teleconference. That dude exists in your life. Fuck that noise, man.
Tom, are you on the line? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Shh, don't tell Vader I'm here. Don't tell Vader I'm here. Shh. I'm not here. I'm in a meeting. Don't tell him what room the meeting is in. But I am fucking not here.
I just got to listen to the details because we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to get this project out on time, but don't tell him I'm here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude, it was great. And I think that's a perfect way to describe it, Matt. It's a horror movie within a few seconds. It's legitimately a horror movie. For those,
And it gets right back out of it and takes you back into like the heart and the humanity of this.
Yeah.
This beautiful little story that was told that all these people sacrificed their lives for the greater good, whether or not they could understand what their actions ultimately gave people who will never know their name.
Yep. Plus, the visuals of that planet were great, too, that kind of tropical thing. We'd never seen a tropical planet in that way portrayed, right? The Forest Moon Endor is a forest planet. This is something else. It's more tropical, right? You had the ice planet in Hoth. You had the salt planet in Crate. Something like this is different. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, you can go to every locale imaginable.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, put it somewhere new as opposed to rehashing something we've already seen.
Right. All right, so the number 2 is probably the same.
Plus, actually, that makes
one more thing. Okay.
Technically, the most logical sense because that's why we have like Cape Canaveral down in Florida because that is the closest to getting out of orbit because that's where the Earth is fattest, so to speak.
Okay.
So if you're going to have an antenna that would shoot and have to relay all this information, you would put it in a more equatorial setting if that's what they were going for because it's closer and it's easier to send the signal. It takes less energy, yada, yada, yada. Although if you can surround that world with a force field, I don't think energy is really a problem for you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And a lot of good actors in this movie, too, dude. A lot of good actors all over this movie, so I'm happy about that. All right, so our number 2, I guess, is the same. So, A New Hope?
A New Hope.
Okay. Which I would have put 3 or 4 if I hadn't watched it more recently. I watched it more recently on like I said, they were showing it on TBS or TNT on HD. Mm-hmm. And, man, I forgot how enjoyable this fucking movie actually is.
Did they show the reimagined, remastered one?
Yes, the remastered one. But even with that, I remember the original because I used to own the original on beta.
But that's the one where like Han and Jabba have the interaction, and it really undercuts the effectiveness of Jabba later on.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you making him kind of look like a pushover?
Yeah, stepping over his tail and
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
He's like, "Bleh." You're like, he just looks like a big worm.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I realize that's what he is ultimately, but I don't know. It kind of kills. Because even in like Clone Wars, when they show Jabba, and then Jabba he's got a family member that comes up in Clone Wars.
Yep.
But it still carries itself in the same manner.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the character's name, so I'd say it. I think it's a female character. I don't remember. So to see Jabba in that way, it's like, why did you make that? Like, whereas in Empire, it's in the background.
Yeah,
it's like in windows and it's going on, in the periphery.
Right.
But in this, like, they're going down into the market area, and then suddenly they're flying through, like they're around dinosaurs and kind of things.
Right.
Every once and again, it's fine.
And Greedo shoots first in the re-edited ones, which I don't.
That's brutal.
So that's the thing. And so to me, it's the original that I remember, and I
actually own a copy of that.
You do? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just watched that.
There you go. And I pick out the scenes that I know are not from the original cut of the movie, and I just ignore those scenes. Like when I watch the rematch, I just ignore them mentally because I know what I'm focusing on. And
that's not canon to you.
No, it's not canon in my mind. It's not fucking canon.
No,
but the stuff with Luke and Kenobi are what sells the movie, man. That connection, that progression of their connection, so that when Kenobi dies, you feel that pain. And Luke, that scream of his, which I think comes back throughout his life. This idea of loss, right? This idea of constantly never being able to be 100% settled in the situation. Luke's a very tragic figure in the Star Wars world. I would say in the story.
He sees the one person he views as a father figure get murdered right before him.
Right.
And then come to find out in the one we're about to talk about who his father truly is.
Right.
And you're like, Jesus, man. Right. That shattered any illusion you had. So the one guy that you liked, that you were like, you knew my dad, what was he like?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And maybe he was like you, to see him get killed and find out, ugh.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's brutal for an individual.
Yeah, but this is, you get Han Solo here, you get Leia here, of course, you get more Vader. You get a lot of stuff here that's a lot of fun to watch in this movie and enjoy, and great moments. I mean, when they're dressed up, sneaking off as the stormtroopers, and Han is down there on the intercom. Hey, everything's going fine here. Everything like all this stuff.
How are you?
How are you?
That's good comedy.
Yeah.
Where's that Lucas when fucking Phantom Menace comes around?
Yeah.
Just the idea you don't know what you're doing, so he's like, everything's good, no problems down here, and just the idea of going, how are you doing to diffuse this situation further?
Yeah,
it's great.
It is
great. Just a guy that is literally bullshitting. And he's open like, please, I hope this works. Yeah. I have no other expectation of myself right now or the outcome of this other than that.
But it's a fun film. And you forget, I mean, if you don't see it consistently enough, you forget how fun the actual movie was. And I remember I was watching it and I was just like, this is a lot of fun. I don't know why I don't revere it more.
And the best part is they pack a ton of movie into that movie. Mm-hmm. They move from set piece to set piece, like, I don't know where you're in that the trash compactor. Yeah. And that's a great little scene within it. Yeah. And that's just, technically, you could take that out and have that scene happen somewhere else, or just like aspects of it. But it somehow makes the world feel more real. Like, there would be trash, and they end up in the trash. Okay, sure. And it makes it seem like every set piece doesn't need to be a Death Star.
Right.
Every set piece, like, other than it turns into Greek mythology, then every time a character shows up somewhere, he's got to give the exposition of what this is. Here we are on Mustafar, the cauldron of, whatever, where we forged this weapon.
The Sisyphus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't need all that. Sometimes life happens in a trash compactor.
Right.
So just
sometimes,
yeah, but they go from there, and then they're on the Death Star, and then they get off the Death Star, and then they're here, and then they're here, and it's just like over and over and over. The story just keeps moving and moving and moving.
Right.
You have all these different set pieces, and you find out that, like, the budget it was shot on and all the practical effects look amazing, especially the battles.
Yeah.
The space battles, just absolutely stellar.
Well, and a great documentary was released, I think, a year ago called Elstree 76, and if you want to watch this documentary, and they interview a lot of the actors who were in the prosthetics, in the costumes, whatever, who were on set doing the movie. And they talk about what it was like shooting in London, in Shepperton Studios, shooting Star Wars, and working with Lucas. And, they even interviewed David Prowse, who's notoriously difficult to talk about because he's constantly suing Star Wars, constantly have issues with Star Wars, because he is the body of Vader in all the movies. So he's saying, I played Vader. But when they had that critical moment in The Jedi, they cast someone else to be in the costume and when the mask comes off. And so it's really hurtful for him because he was like constantly Vader. And so he thinks he can talk about Vader and go and sign autographs. Like that. But he's not Vader. James Earl Jones, the official Vader.
James Earl Jones is Vader.
Yeah, I agree. I know the thing.
I mean,
but I wouldn't begrudge David Prowse signing some autographs.
No, I understand why he's upset and feels that he is Vader because he did play Vader.
Yeah, because he said the lines on set. He acted the lines on set.
And the other characters reacted to him, so that reaction is just solely... That's got to be weird, though, because then on Empire, when they're acting with him, they're just envisioning James Earl Jones' voice.
Probably, yeah, that's a good point.
As he's saying the line, so maybe he lost it after that one.
Yeah,
because... I would like the "I am your father." I'd have to hear that in James Earl Jones's.
Agreed.
Or the "No, I'm your father," not. But anyway.
Right. Plus, it's a great story because like the two sons moment is really for anybody who's like wanted to pursue their dreams or was scared to pursue their dreams or felt that moment where like, okay, I have to leave this hometown in order to go get what I want in the world. I can't get it here. And so I have to leave the place I've grown up in my entire life to go pursue an adventure and see what happens. And some people end up coming back to that small town, but some people stay out into the world and stay out there, And so it's that as well. And that moment where Luke's got his leg up and he's staring at the two sons. I mean, I love that they brought that back in Last Jedi as a kind of, closing the circle type thing. And so those are the great moments about New Hope is that this is a kid's journey to figure out where he belongs in the universe, not just in the world, in the universe. And to know that his story is a bigger one than he could have possibly anticipated growing up in a moisture farm, with his thinking his parents had been
100%.
killed. Yeah. So
well, the next point I'll just cobble into our number one.
Sure.
Which is Empire.
Yes.
What I was about to say is the beauty of New Hope is it also gave us like that was the first time, even though I was young, I saw Empire. This is the first one that I saw in the theater, where I think this Williams was the first composer's name that I ever learned.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I was like, the single horn that comes in, that bum, bum, every time, that is absolutely stellar to me. How that was, the first perfect synergy within movies where the music brought the emotion of the scene. Like it just so beautifully, they were married together for me as a kid.
Yeah.
It carries it on with Empire and then Jedi. Like the scores throughout are so impeccably done on these first three. They help tell the story to a degree that now I look for that in a movie that is that epic and dramatic and just going for kind of grand story. It's like the music needs to help. It doesn't need to be schmaltzy like Remember the Titans where it's a crescendo every time you need an emotional impact.
Right.
You got to earn the spots that you do it. And especially like within Empire, number one, when they get to those darker the ideals that you think that you're predicating your life and all that, the blueprint, to find out your dad is arguably the first or second worst person in the entire universe.
Yeah. That's a good point.
To you, probably Darth Vader is worse because now he's your dad, but it's either him or the Emperor in everybody's estimation. If you knew if you were around before and you knew both of them, I would assume you'd say Anakin because he was part of the all-good kind of police force and killed all those guys off and then helped this other guy shore up his power.
Right.
And Palpatine was a politician before, so who really trusts a politician?
Yeah.
But... man, to find out your dad is Darth Vader.
I know.
Dude, that's brutal.
I remember screaming in the theater when the reveal happened. And I wasn't the only one. Like, I just remember that. Like, that was like I remember distinctly, because you have those memories when you grow up as a kid, like, that just for whatever reason, because it was such an impactful moment, you just remember. I remember my mom had to, like, put her hand over the chair because I was inconsolable. I couldn't believe it. And everybody else was just like, what? Like, you just see it. Like, basically. And you could go on YouTube because people post videos of their kids seeing that it's Vader for the first time, that he's Luke's dad, the kids' reactions. And what's great about that scene, Matt, is that no one questions it. They go no because they don't want to believe it, but they know it's true. And it's a great, authentic scene and acting moment between James Earl Jones and Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Which is so good.
it's just amazing that you cared that much,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
On something that when the initial sell to Fox, didn't they shopped this around beforehand and
Yeah.
Fox picked it up, but you had no idea the aspirations or not the aspirations, but the inevitability of this film. And to get there at the second one, like it's only the second one, but already the mythos and the mythology that this thing is laid the groundwork for within pop culture is unlike anything anyone had ever seen and still is. Nothing comes close to Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
And that reveal in amongst, like, to open on Hoth, and it's just out of nowhere, something you never thought about, and here's an entire ice planet.
Yeah.
Like, awesome.
Yeah.
And you've never seen an AT-AT before, and all of a sudden there's this huge Great Dane tank thing.
Yeah, it was
just
amazing.
coming towards people, and they take it out by binding it with steel cable around. Like, the set pieces, how they amp up the scale of it, but they don't take it to absurd levels, and they just build the momentum of it ever so slightly and ever so, like, it's gorgeous. And they set it up, and to get to that as a reveal, and you feel like it's a downfall of the characters.
Yeah.
Where usually a lot of people feel like the second film in a trilogy is the downfall. It's, by our estimation, the best of this series.
Yeah.
Because it gives more heart and scope to the story as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. And you've got this, how could I say this? You've got this feeling that that everyone is like, has known each other for longer now, right? You immediately, like, Han goes back out to try to save Luke, because Luke's been attacked by that creature.
Yes, it's the only curse word in all of Star Wars.
Yes.
I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
But he's on top of it, and basically he's on his horse, and this is a Western now at this point. I'll see you in hell. Like, just takes off, and like, we both love Westerns.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
You got to get your
works.
buddy. You got to ride out there.
Exactly.
I
Never leave a
ride for
man
you. I
behind.
die for you.
Even if you got to bury him in a tauntaun, never leave a man behind.
No.
All of that, and then the stuff with Leia and Han as it progresses in the inn at Hoth with the back and forth and the old school screwball comedy type vibe they have through the whole thing, which is great. Like, you could even go back to Shakespeare with Beatrice and Benedict and Much Ado About Nothing. That whole thing where they're busting each other's balls because they actually do have feelings for each other. And then Yoda, fucking Yoda, one of the most iconic characters, if not the most iconic character in Star Wars, comes in and is so memorable, so well voiced by Frank Oz, and throws in once again this right, because Lucas based these things on the Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth. Then you come in with essentially a Buddhist, which is what Yoda is, teaching him about balance, teaching him about a connection to the Force, not to use the Force in anger, that following anger leads you to the path of evil. How many people watch this at formative years and remembered that lesson as they went through life? How many lives did that character change? And I'm not being facetious in saying that.
Immeasurably.
It's certainly possible. Like, yeah.
Well, because it's
logical. It makes sense.
It's a simple, moralistic tale.
Yeah.
That's easily digestible.
Yeah.
For, kids, as long as they can cognitively understand what he is saying.
Yeah.
Because of the speech pattern that he has. He sets up the premise of the idea so well for, kind of a backwards, and it makes you, it's like a sing-songy, but the logic of it is congruent. It's all, it's actually kind of like, it seems more like most other languages are kind of set up.
Yes.
As opposed to English being the anomaly within the difference of Spanish and French and Latin and, others.
Yeah.
Where we put the modifier before the noun, which it makes more sense to me as an English speaker.
Yeah.
But then when you find out, like everybody else, for the most part, more often than not, puts the noun first and then the modifier because that's the more important.
Yeah.
La Casa Bonita. It's
right.
The house is the most important thing that we're talking about here.
Right.
And then it's beautiful afterwards.
Right.
But for some reason in English, it's like, no, that's the beautiful house. There's the scary house.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how you tell the difference. You need to let me know that beforehand.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, house is all the same. Well, what makes it different?
Right.
But that's just the selfish way that I think, I guess.
Maybe. But you get the stuff with you see the exploration once on Dagobah, that whole sequence on Dagobah, all of it, him being trained, and he's right. Yoda's right in the end. Luke is too impulsive. Mm-hmm. Luke is not willing to finish the training. He said that from the beginning. He thought that was going to be the issue with Luke, and in the end it was. Luke leaves before he can finish the training, and when he comes back in Jedi, it's too late, and Yoda dies. So, he's learned enough. If he had learned more, he might have beat Vader in Empire Strikes Back. But because he doesn't, and he runs off half-cocked, he gets his hand cut off, and he has that moment with Vader on the thing.
But don't you think that when it gets to Jedi, when Yoda dies,
Yeah.
part of me always believed because Luke came back and he went through it, and now he understands what it is to fail.
Sure.
So Yoda is
Possibly.
okay to leave this mortal coil.
Yeah.
Because he sees that he turned out a good egg.
Yeah.
It's fine. He suffered a harrowing loss, and he showed up here today, and I could see what type of man he is.
Yeah.
And I no longer have to carry the torch for this anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm 800 years old at this point.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, I can finally die because there is someone to carry on the legacy of what the Force actually is,
Right.
or at least the good side of the Force.
And we haven't even gotten to Lando Calrissian, which is fantastic in
I know.
Empire Strikes Back. And Bespin, of course, the Cloud City, all of that, Lobot, all that's a lot of fun.
When we did the show with Ken, who shows up to Star Wars shows. And by the way, I want to put a poll up and have the fans vote. Should we have Christian on or not? Let's just put it up.
Have him on? Or
yeah. Should we? Let's put it up on Twitter. Hey guys, what do you think? We've never had somebody stand us up. We contacted him. I can show you the proof of when and his lack of response, but I gave him 6-7 days heads up. Hey, it's next week. John can do it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm available whenever. When would you like to do it?
He said Wednesday.
And he just, I thought you meant next Wednesday. So, you know what? I say we leave it up to the fans. We just put it out there on Twitter.
Okay.
Hey, I'll do it on, Wednesday.
Okay.
After this comes out.
Sounds good.
Hey, at the Rocha says, what do you think the fans think as to whether or not at Christian Harloff should ever come on our show ever again? That's what I'd like to put out there. But you're 50. It's 50-50.
You know
so
what's
if you're
great?
not okay with it,
No, I'm down with it, and I will take the hit because I know I'll take shit for it for 8 hours that day while I'm at the job from Christian for it.
I'll
But
show up that day if you
I'm
want.
okay.
I will sit here all day and be a bouncer and just be like, "Bep, bep, 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 back in your office, back in your office." Because he's, whatever. There's an inter-office rivalry, and you got to take it.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
That's true.
I don't have to. I can just show up and eventually get kicked out because of being annoying all day, and I have no real reason to be here.
Sir.
It's all right. I'll juke a 20 to Fernandez.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be good all day.
He'll enjoy the show.
Exactly. It's not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this film is so intensely enjoyable. And those of you who are listening, you love it for your own reasons, right? For me, it's a great lesson overall about what your 20s are probably like. Do you know what I'm saying?
You get punched in the mouth.
Yeah. You think you know everything, and you think you've got a good idea of the world, and you think you can tell other people how things should be, and then you get punched in the mouth by life, and you realize when you get to your 30s and 40s, nah, man, there was a whole nother way to look at the world, and I understand now why other people felt the way they do about the world. So, yeah, it's so cool.
I remember being the cliched stereotype that I can't believe I am when I was like 17 or 18, and I had a fight with my parents where I was like, I get the way the world works.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wise. I know how to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, dude, you are an idiot.
Yeah.
An idiot.
If you have any kind of self-reflection or analysis, as you get older, you find that your parents were so right about so many fucking things. If your parents are decent people, you find that they were right about so many different things. And you think, of course, that's the fucking gift of youth, is that you think you can see everything so clearly. But the truth is, you have no concept. You really don't. You really don't. There's so much more in the world. And so I see these pundits that are 20 years old talking the stuff they're talking in politics. I'm like, you have no fucking idea what you're talking
Every
about.
once and again, there's somebody that actually, it seems as though they spent their teen years just studying this.
Sure.
And you do, and you hear it, and you're like, that's a valid argument.
Yep.
Like, they've actually thought this through. That's fine. You're welcome to the table. You can have the discussion.
Yes.
It's fine. Because not to say that, at 18 or whatever else, I could have been a learned scholar about very specific things because that's what I'd spent all the countless free time doing.
Right.
But it was on usually more frivolous endeavors. Like, I was a damn good guitar player at that point in my life.
There you go.
I don't even play all that much anymore because I screwed up my hands over time playing basketball
Playing
because
ball.
that ended up being more of a love.
Yeah.
But I was in bands and all that stuff. It's like, but politics, no.
Right.
I understood certain things here and there, but it's like you can't have a nuanced discussion as to what North Korea is doing now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, okay, well, if I had to guess, like as an adult, I'd be like, well, I have to assume it's one of like a few different things, but they're still going to come to the table.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it so maybe they can get a little bit more out of the deal. Ultimately, it's posturing.
Pulling out now, yeah?
Yeah,
All that stuff,
yeah, it's just posturing. They just want to act like they still have a little bit of power in this equation because they don't want to get. Basically, they can't pick a fight with us without picking a fight with China and South Korea and everybody else. So you don't have leverage for long.
Nope. Yeah, well, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
That's a good All right, so that's our separate top 10 lists for the top 10 Star Wars movies.
Do you want to write and I'll bang this week?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Okay, so our top 3 is done.
Yes.
And then you had Force.
Yeah, Force Awakens at 4.
4. I had at 5. You had Return 5. I had that 4.
Right.
Sell me on Force. Why is that better than Jedi?
Force Awakens. I think it holds up. There's no Ewoks. And it holds up. See, you said you admit it yourself that you have to ignore the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Is there anything you have to
but I think
ignore in The Force Awakens?
No, but I think the emotional points they get to in Jedi, because of like where Luke does with Vader, is way more intense as for me as a Star Wars fan than anything Force Awakens gets to. Like, I'm so invested in that storyline. And this is the fight that ends the Empire. And, like, you see the fruition of the relationship between Han and Leia, plus Leia and Luke. It's just like the moments it gets to are greater for me than Force.
Okay. I think I can accept that, actually.
I'm not trying to...
No, I think I can because you're right. There's nothing in A Force Awakens that comes close to the Vader moment with Luke where he redeems him.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can accept that. All right?
Yeah, there are other weeks where I'm trying to, we're trying to game the system on each other. Right now, I'm trying to, like...
On each other?
You do it on me as well.
I don't.
Whereas this week, if you could sell me on... I'm willing to take it. I just...
But now we have to have a real battle.
Well, no, I think...
This Last Jedi is my next one.
Well, Force Awakens... Okay, so you got Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Where do you have Jedi?
6. I feel like you have to kind of...
I have Clone Wars.
You kind of have to give it to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine. Because more people have seen Last Jedi than they've seen Clone Wars.
Right.
So then, boom, Clone Wars next.
All right.
Then Clones Menace.
Okay. So we take off Solo, a Star Wars story because you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Where do you have Solo?
I have it at 7.
Why don't you bump Clone Wars then entirely?
Attack of the... Clone Wars, you mean the animated one?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put Solo at 7?
Yeah.
And then 8,
Even
9.
though I have it higher, but most people wouldn't technically count it.
Okay. So you don't want to fight for Revenge of the Sith at 8? At 7 or anything?
Oh, you don't have it down already? Because we both have it. I'm sorry.
We have Revenge of the Sith at 8 right now. Did you want to push for it higher, or do you...
I have that at 6. Where do you have Jedi? I'm sorry, I misunderstood
I had Jedi at 6.
Okay, yeah, they're that. And then...
Then do you want to do Revenge of the Sith, then Solo? So then we knock off Phantom Menace, right?
No, I would say bump Clone Wars from the list entirely. Put Solo in that spot, which is what, 8?
Yes, 8.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine. Because more people are going to, have seen Solo by the end of this weekend.
Right.
Once they see this, then have seen Clone Wars.
Okay.
And it's actually in the discussion. So for future reference.
Okay.
And then we can revisit it once we do our review if we end up doing it. But I think we will. Well, I'm just saying.
Without Christian.
The Thunderdome people, you got to get your votes in tonight.
Yeah.
By the time you're hearing this by, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in the U.S. But
That's right.
A non-Thunderdome week, which is coming up, we'll just put that out like we record like we do for that. And,
that makes sense to me.
Put it up.
All right,
let's do this. It's not time sensitive.
That's true. It's not.
All right, I got to bang on. There's no table this week, so I got to bang on this.
The Amazon box.
I hope, Jay Golden Eyes, this doesn't destroy what's in here, but it feels pretty heavy.
I hope it's not. Yeah.
Otherwise, I got to do it on, polished concrete ground, and that's not going to be good.
If this is the way we go out, it makes sense. All right. The top 10 Star Wars movies. Yeah.
At number 10.
The Phantom Menace.
At number 9.
Oh, I suppose I should go Star Wars 2, right? Attack of the Clones?
No, it's just
Okay, Attack of the Clones.
At number 8.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
At number 7.
Revenge of the Sith.
Coming in at number 6 is...
The Last Jedi.
In the 5 spot...
The Force Awakens.
El 4.
Return of the Jedi.
3.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Number 2 is...
Star Wars A New Hope.
And finally, our number 1 Star Wars movie is...
Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, I think is what it's called. Hey-oh. That's a good list of movies if you haven't seen any of these. I'm sure you all have your own personal top 10 that you move around and you're probably yelling at us the whole time why we could put things so high or so low.
Do you think, because there's got to be at least one person that has Phantom Menace number 1.
Sure.
There's got to be.
Well, Mark Fernandez loves Revenge of the Sith. He says it's the number 4 Star Wars film ever made. So,
Sith?
Yeah. So people have their loves of certain films, their own ideas of them, so I respect that. It's a subjective situation.
If certain aspects of it didn't draw me away from the reality of it,
Yeah.
like the love story at points in that movie,
Yeah.
just like, I'm not buying the chemistry.
You're not accepting it.
No, it feels forced and stilted.
Yeah.
And I don't fault the actors because I like both of them.
Yeah.
I never did. When Portman felt that her career was in jeopardy potentially after this, I never once felt that. I was like, you're a fine actress.
Yeah, this is not your
Ewan
fault.
McGregor does not look good in this. Hayden Christensen does not look good in this. Like, numerous people are just giving wooden performances. This is new. Jimmy Smits looks like shit. You know, over and over and over again. So this has nothing to do with you.
Understood.
So there it is.
Yep.
So once again, get those votes in for Thunderdome. Don't know actually what the movies are as of right now.
No.
So otherwise, I would say, hey, it's going to be this or this.
Because recording this ahead of time.
Yeah, well, you know, in advance by one day.
Yeah.
But so there it is. So now moving on to another fan, a second fan.
Hey-oh.
Alejandra Padilla sent us the coffee mugs, which I have now used numerous times.
Me too.
I swear to God, I used it today, actually.
I had a cup of hot chocolate over the weekend, and I used the mug.
I got a bunch of succulents today, so I filled it with water, and I got this little nifty syringe, and I use that because some of them are really tiny, and I use that to water. Otherwise, it's impossible to when I'm just walking around.
Perfect.
You know, do the seconds, but I've used it now like 3-4 times. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the fact that one fan wanted to send us a gift blew my mind.
Yeah.
And and then Jay Golden Eyes comes around and was like, guys, I was actually today thinking about sending you guys a gift. It's crazy that I'm listening to this show. And he was like, where can I send it? It's like, this is so. I don't want to say keep them coming, guys, but guys, keep them coming. This is fantastic.
I'm happy to. I mean, it only took us 3 years to finally start.
Doesn't matter, man. It's like it's Christmas every 2 weeks.
I know.
What are we going to get this time? And it's heavy. It's a box from Amazon. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it says on the. It says I don't know. It just says Prime, Amazon Prime. So
yeah,
Golden Eyes may have Amazon Prime.
I'm going to open this motherfucker.
Yeah, do it. I love they sent it to 2 Saucy Broads. That's the address du jour.
Well, yeah, we have.
It's a safe address, the business address. Oh boy! Oh, it's a wheels
box within a box.
Oh boy! Here we go. One of those is a wheel within wheels. This is literally an unboxing.
It's a hat on a hat.
All right.
Is there anything on these?
There is, but don't ruin the surprise. Open the box.
That's true.
Because it might be in there.
I didn't know if there was going to be a card or something like you put a note.
Oh no.
We'll look for it after.
Yeah, we'll look for it after.
Too excited right now.
I mean, it's like Christmas.
What game for Christmas? What if it's a Star Wars themed something?
Oh my God.
What do we got?
Oh.
No!
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh! That's awesome.
Jay Golden Eyes. Jay Golden, here, look. You do one side, I will do the other.
That's fine.
We're going to let the people know what exactly this is. You ready? Jay Golden Eyes, you are the shit. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got us bongos.
That's incredible.
Bongo drums. Are you kidding me?
We no longer have to bang on tables.
Well, I had
boxes.
That one snare drum, but this is nice, smaller.
Dude.
It's more convenient.
That is fantastic.
Jay Golden Eyes, you have no idea.
I'm going to give you possession of this. I think that's fair. Don't you?
Well, for right now, we're here every week. So why don't we just leave it here somewhere?
Sure, that's
that way
fine.
we don't have to cart this thing around. I don't know if that's possible, but
it is possible.
There's open bookshelves.
Yeah.
And they've been open every week I've been here.
I will keep it in my desk because I know things disappear around here.
Much better.
They're literally called bongo drums. This is just...
Look at that. Give yourself a whirl. Let me see if there's anything.
Ad number 10. Ad number 9. Ad number 8. I love it. There's a card? Okay, great.
Maybe we've got an actual name on this receipt. I won't give it away, an email address, like some people on this show.
I make a mistake every once in a while. Dude, I'm so happy. This is amazing.
And there's a gift receipt like we're returning this thing.
We're never returning this.
Hell no, we're never returning this. Anyway, it says a gift to you.
Oh.
To the Top 10 show. Upping the production value of one of my favorite shows. Hope you guys enjoy. Outlaw Nation, Top 10, Boomaye.
Boomaye.
Beautiful.
Dude, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Jay Goldeneyes, who are you?
Yeah.
What's your name? Please let us give you a shout out.
Let us send you a thank you card at least.
That's the fun Christian misses. You know what I mean? By missing the show, you don't even get to see bongos. You don't even get to see bongos, my friend. He's definitely not allowed to touch these bongos.
We have to take a picture with these bongos.
Oh, we 100%
right?
Have to take a picture with these bongos. And then we'll put it out on Twitter like on Wednesday or Tuesday or something.
After the show comes out.
After the show. We don't want to reveal.
No.
Jay Goldeneyes just crushing it. It takes nothing away from you, Alejandro. I love my coffee mug.
No, don't get... I
love my coffee mug.
This is not about what anyone else gave or didn't
This
give.
is not an A versus B Pepsi-Coke challenge.
We're happy to receive anything, and this is
anything
fantastic.
and everything. It's the fact that you guys would even remotely think to do this.
Shit.
It's great. This is great. This is somebody
Matt, who knew this idea of yours would generate bongo drums?
A much better idea. Bongo is a much better idea than a snare drum.
Oh, it's got a little... what's this?
I don't know. A professional little faux leather pouch or something on the side? Nylon?
Oh, it's something to tighten the bongo drums in case...
Oh, a tuning key. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, a little drum key. Did you ever see Waco?
Oh, it's something to tighten.
Yeah, it's a little crescent wrench.
Dig it. All right. I'm very happy with this. Thank you so much.
Jay Goldeneyes, whoever you are, please let us know on Twitter. If you get a shout-out on next week's show, an official one.
Absolutely. Even
not
DM one of us if you don't want to send it out on Twitter. DM one of us if you don't want your stuff out there. This is high quality, Matt. Very high quality wood. It's very heavy. I like this.
It's got some heft to it.
Yeah, I dig it. It's very real. It's nice wood, too. Look at this, dude.
You done good, Golden.
Yeah. Boom. All right. What do you want to say?
You're good on those. You know?
Yeah,
it's
I
like
love
your
this.
Latin blood is already moving through you. Exactly. You want to write a song for Coco, too? I think we can get started right now. Remember that.
Remember me. Okay. Anyway, let's wrap up the show, my friend.
Yeah.
What do you want to say? Anything?
No. Get those votes in on Patreon. And you can do that on Facebook.com/groups/the Top 10 Show or on Twitter. And you can do that on Twitter with me at Matt Knost, MATTKNOST, or on Patreon.com/the Top 10. And that is it.
And the Facebook groups, you give that address already? Did I miss it?
It's groups/the Top 10 Show with the number 10.
Boom. Thank you, everyone, for listening this week. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. That's ROCHA. And that's it, man. Thank you so much. Jay Goldeneyes. We'll talk to you next week.
On the Top 10 Show.